I'm gonna start boosting some posts. Case.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start paying for some of my like personal posts. I'm gonna advertise that shit. I'm gonna put it out there. I'm gonna be like, divorce announcement. When it's all said and done, I'm gonna pay to boost the post.
I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing my best.
Hi. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm okay.
You're okay?
Yeah, I've had a tough few days, but I'm here. I'm back in New York. I came back very quickly.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking that I was going to get to see you, but
I know I was going to stay. I was supposed to stay, and then it was just there was some stuff that was just hard, and then I had a really weird thing that I don't think I have really processed yet. So I have therapy today, and I don't want to talk about it exactly, but like a really weird, really, really fucking weird thing happened after that awards show to me, by an actor like telling me something that was just. It was shocking. It was just everything was weird.
Okay.
And I had a really hard time. And then thankfully Jen was there and Michelle was there and Renee Elise Goldsberry was there. And they like sort of like scooped me and whisked me away to another location. Sometimes a secondary location is a good thing, is what I'm going to say. Most of the time it's not.
Yeah.
But sometimes you got to get the fuck out.
Yes.
And like, that's when you need your best friends to just be like, we're leaving. Bye.
If it's a real friend. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Anyway, I don't know exactly how I want to talk about it. So I'm not going to talk about it, but I don't know. It's just really hard.
Okay.
And weird.
All right.
And I'll tell you later.
Yeah.
When we're not on the podcast.
Yeah.
But I just feel because like I wrote that Instagram post yesterday when I was on the plane on the way back, and I think it was like a little weird, I think. But I don't know, maybe it wasn't. But like I just I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just like really I'm just really going through it. And and it was a really weird. It was actually like a super fun night.
Yeah.
Even though the Fabelmans like didn't win, Michelle didn't win. That was like, it's a bummer, you know?
Yeah.
She's so good in that movie.
Yeah.
She's so good in that movie. I
feel like it's just such a weird time for movies.
It's also a hard year.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know that she's exceptional in this movie. And I just feel like certain movies are getting so much attention. And listen, Everything Everywhere All at Once is a great movie. It's fucking fantastic.
Also great.
I'm so happy for Ki Hai Kwan winning all these awards. I love him. He is the best friend still of my attorney, Jeff Cohen, from the days when they were in The Goonies together. They're still best friends.
That's amazing. That's fucking amazing.
My husband's played poker with them at Jeff's house, and he says that like their friendship is just a thing to behold. It's delightful. And that's just because they're good people.
Yeah. And like, obviously on a personal note, I love a fucking success story of a child actor.
Yes, obviously. Yes.
Not that I was even like a child so much, but like, you know, I really relate deeply to like that feeling of like, was the best thing I did when being on Freaks and Geeks when I was 19. You know what I mean? Like, I've had those moments. I've had those thoughts. No, I'm serious.
Yeah. No,
I don't think it's true. But like,
well, I was trying to think of like, I mean, it was the best thing at the time. And now it's like a different time, and like in time and space, you're in a different, you know what I mean? Like, I think that I wonder that too. I'm always like, is my best behind me? But it just, you know, it still is you know, like it's such a weird thing. I get in that space where I'm wondering like, will I never do another like great thing? And then when I really think about it, I'm like, oh, I think what I'm asking is, will I never do another thing that makes people think I'm a big deal and that like other people think is a great thing? And like that was some of the things that I've done in the past that was like the kind of validation that I needed at the time, but maybe I don't need that validation anymore. And so now maybe great things are like more personal and more private or whatever, but I don't know. But it's all your whole life. It's all parts of your whole life anyway. So it's not past. It's always part of you.
Always. I also just thought there were some really beautiful, like, I was like happy to be there to see some really inspiring and like amazing speeches by actors. Like, I do love actors so much. I'm a fan. I was, I had a chance to chat a little bit. No, like for 2 seconds with Andrew Garfield. Like, he came to say hi to Michelle. I mean, I'm obsessed with him, but
he's like so charming.
He didn't. I know it didn't seem like he wanted to make out with me, but it's okay. I mean,
well, he has the thing going on with the chicken shop
I don't want to
date
talk
lady.
about it. I don't want to talk about Chicken Shop. I'm rooting for them. And also selfishly, I wished that he had wanted to make out with me. That's all I'm saying.
Ashamed of how many times I've watched the couple videos
It's
of him
really
with
fucking
the
cute. It's
chicken
really
shop
cute.
date lady.
But he's maybe just kind of like that with everyone. I'm not like, he's just very like fucking flirty and cute
And I think
like
she's
fucking charming.
She's like that with everyone. So then that's why
her
I
whole
think,
thing.
right. But that's
the
why
whole
I think
point.
when they're together, it's just like combustible.
Yeah. I mean, anyway, the point being, Andrew Garfield. Wait, why did I bring that up? Just because I wanted to say his name,
you got to chat with him for a couple seconds.
But what were we talking? What were we just talking about?
You were just saying,
actors.
I love actors.
Inspirational. Oh, I love actors. Oh, and we were talking about that like a little bit because Jen and I were talking to him and saying like, you know how much we loved the Jonathan Larson, the Tick Tick Boom movie, and like his performance in it is so good. And I feel this like I loved how that movie with him. Like, he's so good in that. And we were just saying like how it's weird that sometimes being a fan is considered uncool when the truth is like there's nothing better than people who enjoy other people's shit, you know? And so like I really do. I've always
like, what is anyone doing it for but besides to have someone appreciate it?
Or enjoy it, or have it mean something to them, or have it connect in some way. Exactly. But like, I think sometimes creative people, artists occasionally have been like fed some kind of lie that like to appreciate, be a fan over someone else's work, like somehow like you're not supposed to do that. I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's stupid. I think it's like so wonderful when people are not like competitive or weird in this industry, but instead just like are genuinely so excited for others when they make good stuff and they get it done. And it's because it's so, we know how hard it is to like literally fucking do anything.
Yeah.
And like to then get it like to a point that others even see it and that people respond to it. It's like, I don't know. I like people being fans. I like being a fan.
Yeah, you know what?
And I really would like to make out with Andrew Garfield. I'm just going to say it.
I mean, who wouldn't? I
don't know. I think me saying it on this podcast is like, it's literally never going to happen.
It's probably never going to happen. You're probably cursing yourself to it never happening. But I also just feel like literally every person would probably make out with Andrew Garfield if given the opportunity.
Is that true? Do you think?
I feel like, and I feel like people
I think he's like a specific taste. I think he's a specific. I
feel like anyone who's like, I wouldn't. I don't get it. I think they're not being honest with us or themselves.
There are certain people though that are like unanimously agreed upon, like as being super hot and dudes, and I don't get it.
Yeah,
I'm serious.
Yeah.
Like. I'm trying to think of one right now.
Well,
but it doesn't matter. I just know that there've been like people where I'm like,
sometimes. Well, I mean, I have to say that like I must have a type. No, I don't have a type. I think I have a type that like blonde gentlemen usually are not for me, which is, you know.
I would say that too, except then when I was in Sweden, I was like, oh, maybe they are for me.
Right. So who knows? But yeah, who knows? But the thing about being a fan, you know, when I learned this lesson, I think for good, was that one time the person I heard about Lady Gaga from was Elton John. I heard him saying there's this performer, Lady Gaga, and like, everybody's going to love her and like, blah, blah, blah. Nobody's ever mad that Elton John is like a fan of something, you know? And he was like, right, everybody did love Lady Gaga when they figured out who she was. And so I was like, if Elton John is out here, if he's like a fan and like spreading the gospel of performers that we should look out for or whatever, then none of us should be.
I think it's also like it's a product of like cynicism or people wanting to be or appear cool.
Yeah, or like
cooler.
which is like probably competitiveness.
And competitive. But I do think that like maybe that tide is turning a little bit because in the last few years, shit's just been so brutal that it's like, I don't know, like it's okay to just not be cool.
Yeah.
It's okay to like geek out on someone.
Life
it's
is
okay
too
to like,
fucking short to be cool. You know, it's too short. And like, you know, there's a difference between like being cool and like being cool. Like, obviously don't make someone uncomfortable with your, you know, with your praise or whatever. Like people have boundaries and stuff like that. But, and so like when you say like be cool, like be chill, maybe we need to differentiate between being cool and being chill. But, being too cool to tell someone like, hey, that really knocked me out the way that you did that, I think is like weird. Like that's literally the reason why people do things is to like make a connection with someone else. So to deprive someone of knowing that they made a connection to you and spoke to your heart a little bit is weird. It's mean.
It is kind of mean. Anyway, how was your week? What's happening?
Everything's fine. I do want to say thank you for being here after you had like a weird time and like a weird change of plans and stuff. Like I appreciate you coming to talk anyway.
Well, I mean, it is, my job.
It is, but also like sometimes we call out from the job and
I know I was considering it, but I really like Harvey and I didn't want to do that to him because I feel like he's a really good person and I just wanted to like be able to talk to him and he was really nice. He's so great.
Yeah. Coming up, we have Harvey Guillén from What We Do in the Shadows is our guest today. And you'll hear how we all met up and but we were really excited that he could come and chat with us. So he's coming up. So thank you for showing up for Harvey and for me. I appreciate
and you. Yeah, I
appreciate that and everybody listening. But my week has been fine. Like it went by fast. Like real talk. This is like real talk. I'm waiting for my mom's death certificate to come because I can't do anything until I get that death certificate. Oy. And so I've been like a sadder version of Charlie Brown checking the mailbox for Valentine's.
Jesus. That's depressing.
But it's like for real. Like I tried to get my mom's, I had a moment that I wasn't proud of, but also I was like, oh, what the fuck? Like I went to the post office to try to get her mail forwarded to me, just so it'll stop like filling up her condo mailbox or whatever. And the person was like, I was like, hi, I need to like get mail forwarded to my address. And she was like, are you moving? And I was like, yeah, no, well, kind of. And I was just having a hard time finding my words. And she just launched into this, like, you can only forward mail if you're moving and blah, 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 and she was just like being really rough. And I was like trying to get a word in edgewise at that point. And I was like, my mother died. And she was just like, at that point, she was so full steam ahead, like in an officious snit of telling me like how things are. She said, well, I'm sorry. Like she was trying to say like, okay, I see what's happening now and I'm sorry, but I still have to be mean to you because I was just being mean like 1 second ago. And she was like, well, I'm sorry, but you can't do it unless you have a document stating that you're the power of attorney and you need the death certificate. And I was just like, I just walked away at that point and I was like, if you had let me just talk, I could have just talked to you, but you weren't interested in letting me talk. But now you're telling me there's nothing I can do. I'm walking away. But I just was like, I wasn't super proud of like how I handled it because whatever, but how are you supposed to handle it? You know what I mean? What are you supposed to do when someone's
I
like,
think you handled it better than I would have. If I'm being real.
I don't know.
No.
I don't know.
I probably would have been like a dick. Like you sound like you just were. Your way is probably actually more effective to making her feel like an asshole.
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
I wasn't even really trying to. I mean,
I know you're
guess
not.
I was
I know.
trying to make her feel like an asshole.
I don't think you were. I think you were just like, this is, yeah. I
she
mean,
was being an asshole, but I'm also just like, just let people talk. Give people 1 second. It's not like, here's the thing. If anyone's, listen, I'm trying to like make a universal whatever about like postal workers. But anyone, if someone's coming up to you and trying to do something like change their address, chances are they're going through something, whether it's good or bad. It's not something that you do every day. You know what I mean? So when you don't do something every day, like it might take you a second to like find your words, whether it's good or bad. And like she didn't even let me find the words of like, well, my mom didn't leave a power of attorney because she died before we did that. Or like, not that it's any of your fucking business, but like, this is what the lawyer told me to do. So I'm trying to do it. And like, now you're talking to me like I'm a fucking child and, and like also trying to tap the brakes after you already went from 0 to 100. And you're trying to tap the brakes now that I'm saying like my mother died, but you're still being like half a bitch. Like just,
I think that it's interesting though. Like that's, I don't know, going from 0 to 100 is like, that's a really interesting idea. Like I think that I think that's actually like a challenge for all of us. Like in our lives, we all, look, maybe we're not working at the fucking post office or even, I don't know, in customer service or whatever. But whatever job you have, wherever you, in your life, in your family, with your kids, like with your parents, whatever, like I think that people really do have a tendency to expect that they know what is about to be said. And it like sometimes causes people to jump from 0 to 60. And like the trick is like that moment in between jumping where you do you allow yourself to like give a beat and take a breath, and then like you can respond in kind and like allow for the other person to say what they need to say. The thing that happened to me was a person who also just like jumped from 0 to 60, but who also that person might just be fucking lunatic. I don't know.
It's possible. It's always possible. And listen, I get that like by the same token that I'm asking like for people to consider that I might be going through something, like I'm also considerate of the fact that, working in the post office or wherever you work, that's hard and that you've dealt with a million dipshits every day. But here's the thing is that like, well, we've kind of talked about this before on the podcast, like dealing with a million dipshits is cumulative and it wears on a person. But at the same time, if it's your job to like help people at the desk that you're standing at, you have to freshly assume that every new person is not a new dipshit until proven otherwise,
Right.
And so, like I don't treat all people that work in the service industry like they're mean because that lady was mean to me. That's not my assumption, so it's just, I don't know. It's just hard. I mean, I feel like my mantra going forward is just assume everyone is going through something and has gone through something because we all fucking have. So like,
yeah, I also would add to that, like, be kind.
Yeah.
Be chill.
Just like, yeah, be chill. Be chill.
Gina got sad because Quinn, who's like walks Gina and plays with her and took her to the dog park, came back and grabbed something. She's got to like run an errand for me and left Gina here. And Gina's now looking longingly at the door. Like, what happened?
Man.
What did I do? Was it something I said?
Aw, poor Gina.
Gina's going through something too.
Yeah. So you just don't know. And like, I'm not trying to break anyone down in their day or whatever, or, you know, I know it's hard. It's everybody has it hard. They really do. Like, no two ways about it. But, anywho, waiting for death certificates. Who knew it took so long and that you can't do shit without them?
I mean, I didn't.
I'm glad. I guess I'm glad I didn't know until this point. That's a huge luxury to not have to know that. But yeah, that's kind of been my week. Yeah. But one thing that I meant to say on last week's podcast, but we never got around to it, speaking of my mom and stuff, is that in her obituary that I wrote that we talked about a couple weeks ago, I very specifically called out how she would like to go in search of snowy owls, how that was like a big deal to like hear that a snowy owl was on the Cape and, you know, tramp out to wherever it was, wherever you heard it was, and try to photograph it. There has been a snowy owl 3,000 miles away from home in Cypress, California, which is not far from here.
Weird.
And yeah, so has been visiting, and so many people have been sharing pictures of this snowy owl that's just hanging out on top of someone's house in California. And so my family has been enjoying that and being like, you know what? Maybe that's a sign. Maybe that's a sign.
Of course it's a sign.
Maybe. I mean, we also might be going a little overboard. Eli was like house sitting, and it's been still wildly rainy in California. And I guess an earthworm came up someone's sink drain. Ew. And and he was like, I just was like, very gently took it outside, you know, in case it was somebody. And I was like,
that's really funny.
I hope to God that your grandmother didn't come back as an earthworm, but I'm sure if it was her, she appreciated it. And he said that he thought maybe an earthworm wouldn't be your first choice to be reincarnated, but maybe it's the easiest thing to come back as. Maybe you can do that the quickest and like get through the red tape the fastest if you agree to being an earthworm. So anyway, that's where we all are at this point.
That sounds about right. Hiya! Listen, I want to tell you something. Children's vitamins, basically candy in disguise. 2 teaspoons of sugar, unhealthy chemicals, gummy junk, sticks in their teeth, and then you have to take them to the dentist, and then they tell you, oh, wow, your 3-year-old has 7 cavities.
And then you have mom shame.
Then you're mom shamed. And that's why Hiya was created, the pediatrician-approved, super-powered, chewable vitamin. Most children's vitamins are filled with at least 5 grams of sugar and can contribute to a variety of health issues, including those cavities that we were just talking about. But not Hiya. Hiya is made with 0 sugar, 0 gummy junk, tastes great, is perfect for picky eaters. Even Cricket will eat her Hiya vitamins. I love them. I've had them. Have you tried them?
Yes, I've had them as well. I love a children's chewable vitamin.
Me too.
In the form of Hiya. Not going to lie.
Formulated with the help of nutritional experts, Hiya is pressed with a blend of 12 organic fruits and veggies, supercharged with 15 essential vitamins and minerals, including vitamin D, B12, C, zinc, folate, and many others to help support immunity, energy, brain function, mood, concentration, teeth, bones, and more. Guys, my kids love it. They decorated their little bottle, their reusable bottle. Each of them, they know which one is theirs, which I love.
And in case you're the kind of parent who worries about this kind of thing, non-GMO, vegan, dairy-free, allergy-free, gelatin-free, nut-free, everything else you can imagine, anything else that you'd be worried about, it's not in there. So don't worry.
Plus, it's delivered straight to your door. You have one less thing to worry about. And we've worked out a special deal with Hiya for their best-selling children's vitamin. Receive 50% off your first order. To claim the deal, you must go to hiyahealth.com/busy. This deal is not available on their regular website. Go to hiyahealth.com/busy and get your kids the full body nourishment they need to grow into healthy adults. Wait, do you want to hear the craziest thing?
Yes.
LA was weird, but you know what was not weird?
What?
That I met Cassandra, the woman that started Kitsch.
You did?
I did. I met her getting coffee one morning and she was with her children and her hair was beautiful.
Of course.
And I said, you know what? I'm so embarrassed because I forgot my satin scrunchies and about to go work out. And she was like, where are you staying? I'm going to send you some. I'm like, you know what? I love you so much. You're the best.
Cassandra.
The satin.
Yeah, the original satin scrunchies.
Yeah, which like save your hair from breakage.
Yes.
Guys, I've loved Kitsch forever. We love Cassandra. We love her. We love the products. Also, I've been using those heatless satin curling rollers.
Yes.
Okay, I'm so sorry. You guys, no more heat damage. There are like a bunch of TikTok videos of people throwing away $600 curlers for this. It's only a fraction of the price. It costs $18. Birdie and I got it over Christmas. It's my favorite thing ever. I'm obsessed. I've posted lots of videos on my Instagram of me doing these like heatless satin curling rollers. I cannot recommend them enough. Now, look, I know I chopped my hair off. I'm going to still use them.
You're going to still use them.
But if you have long hair, highly recommend as well. It's amazing.
You know what? I just ordered the shampoo and conditioner bars because my favorite Michaela, TikTok makeup artist Sta from Boston.
Such a star.
She loves the shampoo and conditioner bars and highly recommends. And she has, really fine hair like I do. So I'm going to try those out.
Listen, there's also the quick dry hair towels, the classic hair ties and scrunchies, so many more things. They've got like special collabs with like Bridgerton and Stranger Things. And I am obsessed. And now I met Cassandra in real life and I saw her adorable children and her gorgeous husband. And guys, I'm on board. Right now, Kitsch is offering you 30% off your entire order at mykitsch.com/best. That's right. 30% off anything and everything at MyKitsch. It's spelled MYKITSCH.com/best. One more time. MyKitsch.com/best. 30% off your order. Guys, get into it. I cut my hair.
You did cut your hair. It looks beautiful. You got your eyebrows done. I saw.
Eyebrows done. I did. Yeah, I had a really interesting, weird night. And then I flew back yesterday and Gina's really cute. And oh my God, guess what? Cricket went. Mark took Cricket. So Birdie's on a school trip this week.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Which is very cool. And so Mark took Cricket to Washington, D.C. because they had this thing called the Office Experience. It's Peacock.
Yeah.
By the way, no Peacock strings were pulled. Mark just bought tickets online.
Sure.
And, it's have you seen the Friends experience?
Yeah.
Or
it's
the Stranger Things experience?
Yeah, it's kind of like a museum /
Everyone's into experiential things.
Yes.
Maybe we should figure out how to make our tour more experiential.
Okay. All right.
I don't know. Kate Berlant's show, actually, if you guys, I think it's back up. If you get a chance and if you're in New York, go see Kate if you can get tickets. Because I feel like Kate's show is a little experiential.
Yeah.
It's kind of a way that people want to do things now. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they want to be able to like take a picture, like
Yes.
and like have that. Anyway, so Cricket and Mark had a little trip to DC together, and he took her to a bunch of museums, and she loved them. And then it culminated with the Office experience.
Oh, I
And
love that. I saw a picture of her doing
the chili.
The chili, yes.
I know. I wanted to send it to Brian. We need to send it over to him to see, because it's like it was so cute. She had the best time, and I got home last night, and it was pretty late, but she showed me all the things that she had gotten on their trip, and then she showed me like a video she had made to the Office theme music of just like
that.
her trip there, and it's so cute. And she's a really special kid. She's really, really she's just really cool. You know, Cricket's like a very she's a unicorn, you know?
Yeah.
She's a fucking unicorn.
I always enjoy hanging out with her myself.
Yeah, she's a good hang.
Yeah.
And I slept real fucking hard last night, and I like slept in. I was going to work out this morning, and I just kept sleeping, and just really kept sleeping.
That sounds good.
Honestly, it felt good. So anyway, yeah. So that's all I know, I guess. I don't know. And then Birdie went to the White House on her school. They're doing their like 8th grade DC trip.
Oh,
you know?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
how people do that.
Yeah.
How people do that. Oh, and I got to show Claire Foy. I got to meet Claire Foy at the Critics' Choice Awards, and I showed her the picture of Birdie as Queen Elizabeth, and she was like, "Oh my God, that's the greatest thing I've ever seen. She's gorgeous." And I was like, "She is gorgeous." Thank you.
That's amazing. I love that
I
you
know,
got
it was
to
really
show that.
cute.
That's so
It was
cool.
cute.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, speaking of our live shows, we should talk about it a little bit.
I think we should. I actually had a question for you.
Yeah, what's
Are
the
we
question?
released? Did we decide? Are we releasing the live shows as podcasts, or what are we doing?
I don't think we fully decided yet, because we kind of like asked listeners, like, because when we recorded the show and put it out in from Toronto,
No one cared.
It's not that no one cared. It just wasn't as widely listened to as a regular podcast episode. And so we asked people like why that was. And some people said they felt bad
FOMO.
and like they didn't deserve to listen to it because they hadn't been at the show, which I was like, okay. Some people said they felt FOMO. Some people said in their experience, live podcast recordings are bad. The sound quality is bad, which wasn't the case with ours. Just FYI, like we got really lucky, and the people that recorded it in Toronto for us did an amazing job, and it sounded great. So that wasn't the issue. So we hadn't really decided whether we were gonna just release those as bonuses, release them on the Substack, or whether we were gonna put them as regular podcast episodes.
I don't know. We'll figure it out. But I do think the only thing I was thinking is just that week is like that'll be a lot of talking for us.
Yes, it will.
But I don't know. I'm excited to go on tour. There are still tickets, guys. Especially for San Francisco and Boston, and Jersey's very close to being sold out. So you can get those tickets.
Yeah, so we're going to be at the San Francisco Palace of Fine Arts. Is that correct?
I don't fucking know. Caissie, I mean, why do you think like, I don't even know. And it's like is it the 2nd or the 3rd of February? Which day is it?
It's the 3rd of February.
The 3rd of February. There you go.
And it's the San Francisco Palace of Fine Arts on February 3rd. And then on February 9th, we're going to be in Boston at the Wilbur Theater.
Fun.
And then on February 11th, we're going to be at the New Jersey Performing Arts Center. And that's in Newark, New Jersey, very close to New York City in the tri-state area. And so there's tickets available for all 3 of those shows left. They're really big venues, but we'd love to try to fill them. We're going to do our damnedest to fill them. And so we'd love it if you all came out to see us in those places. And we have special surprise guests coming.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. And don't let my current mood deter you. Don't let the fact that Caissie and I are both currently going through it deter you.
Well, because
It'll be fun, guys. It'll be fun.
Once you see a stage and those lights, Busy Phillips, like a switch flips, and she's like, you know, you're just all.
Well, I was born for the stage.
Born for
Everybody
the
knows
stage.
that. Yeah,
yes.
everyone knows I was meant to be on stage.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am really excited about the shows. I think they're going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I would love to see all of your little faces.
Yeah. And if you
I'll
need
try to,
if you need to know where to get tickets, you can go on our Instagram page. We have info about where you can get tickets, but also you can just go to the websites of those theaters and check those dates to buy tickets. Or, you know, you can just, I think they're available, you know, just Google Busy Phillips is doing her best and your town and Newark, and it should pop up. If all else fails, you should be able to find tickets for it, and you know, and bring like 10 friends, you know.
please.
And we'll try to think of a way to make it experiential.
Well, there's probably going to be, I think we should bring stuff from advertisers on this podcast and like do something fun with it. Like give it away, give them away like somehow. Like
All right.
I really do think, and there's going to be limited edition merch that's just there.
Yeah.
Right.
I think, well,
Yeah.
we're trying. Yeah. We'll see. Well, I mean,
Caissie,
it's just
Caissie, just fucking say yes.
Yeah.
Just say yes. Jesus Christ.
Yes.
Christ.
Well, because I'm the one that's going to be hauling a box all over the country. That's the
Fuck
thing.
that. Just why are you hauling a box? Just ship it. We'll just pay for it to be shipped.
All
I
right.
don't even use my luggage anymore. I just send my luggage ahead of time. I don't even check a fucking bag.
We just have a lot of details we have to work out. But
Details.
Details.
You know what they say. The devil is in him.
The devil is in the details. Yeah.
I'm going to go get a tattoo today. So that's good.
You are?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. That's exciting. Is
Yeah,
it
it's this
something
girl. She had a note. She's a artist that I really like her stuff, and she had an opening today, and I was like, sure. This evening, yeah, and I just, yeah, it's exciting.
That is exciting. I wondered if it was something that you had planned that was in the works for a long time, or kind of spur of the moment decision.
No, it's not spur of the moment. It was like it's like kind of somewhere in between, I think.
Okay. All right. That's
Like all things.
Yeah.
Somewhere in between.
Well, that's exciting. I can't wait to see it.
I know. I'm excited. She did a really beautiful tattoo on a friend of mine, and I loved it. So I told her if she had any availability to let me know, and I would take it. And she did. And I'm here, so I'm taking it. And I'm singing in a thing next week. I forgot that I agreed to do at 54 Below, which was kind of exciting.
Oh, that's
like
really
a cabaret
cool.
thing.
Yeah. Is it with Jim Caruso? Is he there?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
You know, I never know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
It's like a tribute to Mel Brooks.
Oh, that's exciting.
I guess.
Because
I have to learn the song.
History of the World Part 2. It's coming out.
I gotta be honest with you. I'm not like a Mel Brooks person. Like I don't know any of his things. Like I'm just
okay.
not.
All
I don't
right.
mean to be like I'm not anti. I just am not. I just don't know them.
Okay.
You
So
know?
you're the
Like,
perfect person to tribute him.
Yeah, basically. Like I don't know. What does anyone know about anything?
Well,
You know
it's
what
like
I mean?
it's like you just haven't. Like maybe you will. Maybe you will become a Mel Brooks person. Maybe that'll be the night. Is he
Yeah.
going to be there?
I have no idea.
Wow.
Again, Caissie, we're in a real. It's a real.
You're just one foot in front of the other right now.
Honey, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, but I like my haircut a lot. I actually think it could be shorter, but I think it's all right the way that
I think
it
it
is.
looks great.
Yeah.
I think Mel Brooks will like it if he's there.
Who knows?
Who knows? I have seen him at the theater a lot. So he does like go out in New York. So maybe he
Oh.
will be there. Yeah.
Okay.
Like I've seen him in the audience of Probably almost like every show I ever went to. If I'm being
Come
honest.
off it. That's insane.
Well, I didn't go to a lot.
That's like a literal, like, insane statement. Or like every time I've seen a Broadway show, Mel Brooks has been in the audience.
Do you
what
know
are
that?
you talking about?
For a while.
What are you talking
For
about?
a while, every time I came to Los Angeles, I ran into Loretta Swit. It's just how it is. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't
Okay.
know why.
All right.
I
don't know.
I figured that Mel Brooks goes to so much theater that he's like bound to be there most times.
Maybe that's true. I want to see some theater. I need to see some shows. I'd like to go see some shows. I just
feel
don't
like
know what
you have
see.
to go see everything because things are like getting snatched away from everyone too quickly.
Well, that's just life, man.
Yeah, that's true. All the shows that everyone likes, all the TV shows that everyone likes, like movies can't be taken away from you. Thank goodness they can't.
Well, they can. They
can.
claim the insurance money on them, and they never release them.
Right, and then they never release them. Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true.
Or they take them off of a streaming service for whatever reason, and then
Right.
you never can find it again.
Right.
It's weird.
The show that I like, Minx, is being brought back on another streaming service.
Oh, really?
Which I'm like, oh, thank God. I was furious about that. But that's like
yeah,
one
you were talking about that.
one out of like 100 shows I feel like that have been dropped from streaming services. So, you know, it's enraging. It's enraging. Is everything going to be a limited series going forward? And they're just like no promises about.
Everything is a limited series,
Yeah, it's true.
unless it's Law and Order.
Right. Even that
Grey's
is
Anatomy.
limited. It's just that it's a very long limit that
It's just-
that we haven't bumped into.
We haven't
yet.
reached the limit yet.
We haven't reached the limit yet.
The limit is infinite.
Yeah, Grey's Anatomy. I feel like I quit watching Grey's Anatomy like 20 years ago, and it's
Me
still
too.
happening.
Still on.
I don't know what's happening there. I don't know. Are there any originals still there? No, I think like Meredith is leaving, right?
She left, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
But maybe, I don't know. James Pickens, the president of the hospital.
Oh,
I feel like he might still be there.
I don't know.
But he like TBH, I feel like he started as sort of like strong recurring.
Right.
You know, I don't feel like he was like a regular from the get.
Right. Oh, wait. There's Bailey, right? Is still on.
I don't know who that is.
Oh my gosh. I think Dr. Bailey is still on Grey's
Oh,
Anatomy.
Dr. Bailey. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, now I remember.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
I think that's right.
Whew. I get all my my doctor shows confused.
I don't know. I haven't watched. I don't know where I am. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what's happening.
I don't even have like network television anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know how you watch that. Well, I
Yeah.
guess you watch it on their streaming services, but
Yeah.
like I didn't know that there's like the number one show in America is something about like people that see ghosts.
Right.
I don't know what that is. But it's like universally everyone watches and loves this fucking show.
Ghosts.
It's called Ghosts? Is that the name of it?
I think so. It's a
I just know
it's a
it's about
comedy
ghosts.
show about like historic ghosts
Or like people that see ghosts.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, historic ghosts. Maybe that's right. Yes.
Yeah. I don't.
I mean, I have watched Abbott Elementary, but only because I like have always liked Quinta Brunson. But
Yeah.
that was like hard enough to watch an episode of that.
Right, to figure out, yeah. I don't even, who knows? See, we're part of the problem. Hi.
I mean,
It's me. I'm the problem. It's me.
always. I've never not been the problem.
Oh my gosh. Gina's a little bit the problem. She doesn't need to feel left out. We're not saying you're not the problem, Gina.
Gina, just sit down. What are you doing? She makes this face at me sometimes where I'm like, she's about to bark. I can see it. Stop. Come here. I can see it in her little face.
Oh my gosh.
Like she's just.
She just wants you all to herself because you just got home.
I know, it's true. She like headbutted Cricket out of the way.
Oh, God.
It was really funny, actually. Last night, I was like, whoa, Gina. She like headbutted her to get to me.
Well, that's how it goes.
Cricket's got to learn.
Yeah. I mean,
the two smallest puppies in the house. They gotta fight
for their pack order.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm very grateful to you for coming here. I know that we have to take a little break because you have an appointment. So then we're going to come back later and finish up. So maybe we can just throw to our interview now and then you can go.
Guys, the most delightful human, Harvey Guillén.
You know him from What We Do in the Shadows as Guillermo. He's in...
Also, Caissie like goes on a real tangent about his red carpet looks. But they are great. But he's like an icon. We love him.
I think he's a fashion icon. And yeah,
and we had a great time chatting, and he's just a lot of fun, and he's just a really nice person. And I, in this moment in my life, only want to talk to or be around really nice people.
Only nice people in the building.
Yeah, only nice people in the building. Fuck the murderers. Please enjoy. Bass. I used my Bass weekender bag when I came to LA along with my roller carry-on. I loved it.
It's everything. It's the best bag.
Everything. People loved it. People asked me what it was, aka Emily BB. With the weekender bag, though, there's also room for everything. And when I was flying back, I had acquired a few things. And I was like, oh no, do I have room in my roller carry-on suitcase? And you know what? I maybe didn't have room in my roller carry-on suitcase, but I did have room in my weekender bag because that little zipper compartment in the bottom folded up some things, shoved them in, like zipped it up. There's space for everything.
I also really like how the top of the weekender, we never shouted that out, but I love how the top of the weekender opens because it opens up wide like a doctor bag and you can just find everything in there. You're not like
100%
rooting around, which is like, I've spent like 30% of my life rooting around and I just can't anymore.
No more. We're not rooting in 2023. We are done rooting. Guys, we love Bass. We love it. Their luggage comes in multiple sizes and colors. And the weekender bag, again, can't recommend it enough. It's super functional. It even has a place where you can put your shoes separately. Guys, whether you're packing for a quick trip or looking to breeze through the security line, Bass has your personal items covered. And right now, Bass is offering our listeners 15% off your first purchase by visiting basstravel.com/best. Go to basstravel.com/best for 15% off your first purchase. That's Base, BEIS, travel.com/best. Get into it. You're going to die at how cute this stuff is. Okay, listen. Rocket Money, formerly known as Truebill, is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions and monitors your spending and helps you lower your bills all in one place, guys. We love Rocket Money so much. Over 80% of people have subscriptions that they forgot about, like a streaming service you're still paying for. And you're like, wait, what? Why did I have that? That free trial that you signed up for and you were supposed to cancel and then you forgot. That's where Rocket Money steps in. Rocket Money will quickly and easily identify your subscriptions for you, and then you can stop paying for the ones you don't want. It's so easy. They make canceling subscriptions as easy as a click of a button. You find the subscriptions you don't want, you press cancel. Rocket Money does the best. The best, the rest. They do the best and the rest. I'm obsessed with them. Obsessed with the best and the rest. Rocket Money. Okay.
Over 3 million people have used Rocket Money, saving the average person, listen to this, up to $720 a year.
Guys, they've saved me way more than that. So stop throwing your money away. Cancel unwanted subscriptions and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/best. That's rocketmoney.com/best. rocketmoney.com/best.
Harvey.
Hi, Harvey.
Hi.
Thanks for joining us. You look so cute this morning.
Yeah, you look adorable. Were you at the Critics' Choice Awards?
I was there. I think I saw you. I think I saw you walk by and I was like, oh, and I was gonna say hi, but you're like with Michelle Williams, I think, and like running to the bathroom.
We were running to the bathroom. By the way, that show was weird. And so weird. What was your take on it? I just am curious.
I mean, I was there last year and this year was weird. I was there for a different project. So I was even with my home-based project, which was What We Do in the Shadows. Last year we were nominated. This year we were not. And last year I was nominated for supporting actor. This year I was not. So I was just like, hey. And then so I was there for Puss in Boots. And we didn't win. Pinocchio won, which is fine because Guillermo's great too. But for me, it was just like looking at all like that's so weird. You might come to these things one year and one year you're like, I'm team this. And then the next year you're like, I'm team this now. You know, it's just like,
right.
Was it a different experience? Not like, were you nervous last year, whether you were going to win or not?
It took it was fun, but it because of the nerves, it took the fun out of it. Like, I was just like, it was my first, Critics' Choice nomination. I was just like in person after COVID, and I was just like, oh my gosh! And then you're like, really nervous. And this year, since it was for Puss in Boots, which is still nominated, something about animation that you just will be like, it's fine, we had fun,
right?
Well,
right.
It feels like it's not as reflective of you.
Yeah, it's not like you didn't like. It's like because it's so personal when you're on screen. Because we didn't like the way you looked in those pants.
Right.
We're the critics, and we make choices.
The critics didn't like the way you looked in those pants.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Harvey! The last time I was nominated for a Critics' Choice Award, and it had been like a long time since I'd been nominated for anything. So we all went out, and it was so exciting. And then we lost in a bumper. Our award wasn't even presented. Like
No. Wait, Caissie, this is what I wanted to tell you. And Harvey, I don't think you knew this, but like there were multiple people that I was friends with, including the Fabelmans, like who they were told on the red carpet that they either won or lost an award. It wasn't even a bumper. It was like best ensemble, like Fabelmans didn't win, and we found out in the car pulling up that they didn't win. But then also, this is so weird. Michelle's publicist who's also my publicist, Rachel, was with us in the car, and she's like, they won't tell me who did win, and I'm like, that is so fucking weird. So Michelle's like, I guess I'm getting out of the car already, a loser. Like, it was so strange. And then John Early. Like we saw John Early right before we went into the thing, and he's like, "Oh yeah, we're nominated."
I saw him after at the Chateau. Yeah.
Oh, I was at the Chateau after too.
Well, where were you?
You were two ships passing in the night all night.
This is insane. Well, I had like a really rough. It's a story that we don't need to get into right now, but crazy. It's a crazy. The end of my night was like fucking nuts, but we had ended up having a really good time at the Chateau. But John was like, yeah, I was just told on the red carpet that we didn't win Best Comedy Special, but I don't know who won.
What?
Oh my God.
I'm glad no one told me that. Or maybe they knew, or maybe my team knew at Universal, and they were just like, don't tell Harvey. Like they were probably like not wanting to tell me, because that would be so, I don't know how I would deal with that. Like walking in the carpet, you're talking with such like hopes and aspirations.
Sure.
And you're like, so how's it feel like to be nominated tonight? It's so great. I hope we win. Everyone's fantastic. Imagine being asked that question and you already know you lost, and then having to pretend that you're excited about the answer, than being told by PR like don't tell anyone, but you lost.
I don't think I would be able to pretend. I'd just be like, I already know we lost.
Wait, listen, they didn't say. Yeah, they didn't tell Michelle she couldn't say that she knew that she lost, but they didn't. But they also just were not forthcoming with who won, which was so strange.
Maybe they didn't know, and they didn't want you to tell them.
But then also the other thing, Caissie, I don't know if you saw the Critics' Choice Awards. I didn't know that they did this, or if this was the first time they tried to do it, or I don't know. But Best Supporting Actor and Actress was announced at the same time, and they had to go up together.
I saw that.
And it was so awkward because
it was so awkward.
And it was almost like a competition of like, because someone gives a speech and it's so inspirational. You're like, that was really good. And the next person's like, I'm next. And then they come up next to them and they're like, I will try to top that, or I will have my own. It was a little weird because I was just like, I guess for time, they're like, kill two birds with one stone. But I was like,
those are two big birds.
Those are two huge, ginormous, endangered birds.
Oh my God. It's so weird.
It's really funny.
Sometimes I know, like award shows, I get it. Like I've worked on award shows and I've been nominated for awards. And I know that like from both sides, sometimes you're trying to shake it up or streamline it or modernize it. And there is no real way to do it. And sometimes it leads to like wacky decisions, I feel like.
They made lots of wacky decisions, I want to say. And here's one more thing. And Harvey, maybe you were there with a film this year. Last year, you were there as a nominee, 2 times nominee for What We Do in the Shadows, your amazing television show. I won a Critics' Choice Award for Best Supporting Actress for Cougar Town back in the day. But back then, they were separate award shows. There was one for television and one for film. And I got to tell you something. I much prefer it because the TV people, when it's these joint movie and television awards, the TV people are always fucking back at like table 97. You know what I mean? Yeah. They do it at the Golden Globes, and I noticed that they did it at the Critics' Choice too. And I was like, it's such bullshit. Like the Bear is like 15 tables back, when it's like, let television people shine.
Our table was like pretty up front. I mean, it's a feature. And so I was like, oh, wow, we got a nice table towards the stage. And then I got my hopes up and I was like, wait, they usually do that. If, like, you're going to walk up to the stage really quickly because you're going to win, put like someone who wins in the back. They did. They did put
they did, turns out.
Yeah, it turns out it's television. It was mostly television. When they announced some of the winners in television, they were back there. And I was like,
they were back, literally. Like, I'm not kidding.
Yeah, if you're going to just tell everyone who won anyway, just put all the winners up front and like dispense with the long walk if you need to save that much. But it gave me false
hope because I was like, we're up front. I was like, we're sitting up front. It was the first time, last year we were sitting like in the middle with Shadows. So I got my hopes up too. So I was like, oh, this is good. 50-50, right?
I'm going to have a talk with them
who's in charge?
I don't know, but I'm going to have a talk with them. And I think we need to split it. We split it into 2 shows, guys. It does not need to be one.
Globes. The Golden Globes is where those 2 worlds collide. We have one of those. Let's keep it with Golden Globes. Everything else, let's, separate that.
And I really do fucking hate that thing that they put like movies at Golden Globes too, that like the movie people are like down front in the pit and then the television people are like flanking around. It's like such bullshit, especially now that like it's like such an old school way of thinking that like movies matter more than TV.
Yeah.
Right.
Or like I don't understand like how you think that like there's no difference now between like I see amazing writing and sometimes even better because you have the trajectory of telling a story within like 12 to 28 episodes or whatever, you know what I mean? You could actually elongate the story. And I feel like that old mindset of Hollywood of like, oh no, once you do movies, you don't do television. That's not true. That's just absolutely not true. And like movie stars doing television and vice versa.
Yes.
TV stars and moving into
like
film.
Julia Roberts was nominated for a TV show.
Yeah, so it's just not
she was back there at table 47. You know,
it's not like they're the most beautiful people in the room because everyone in that room is gorgeous. It's like everyone's beautiful, and so they were like put the A-listers of film up front, and it's just like why? If you pan anywhere in this room, it's like it's Hollywood. You know what I mean? Like everyone in this room, you could pan over to the waiter and think that they're nominated because they're gorgeous. You know what I mean?
This is a good
how
point.
was your table, Harvey? How like the people at your table? Did you have fun?
So fun. My table was super fun. It was all of Universal, and there was director, or both our directors and our producers and our head of story, and they're just fun. They love what they do, and then it was like very lively the whole night. And Taika Waititi, who was my director for Shadows in season 1, like he's in the table behind with Reservation Dogs, and then there's the table behind us the other way. I'm trying to remember. Oh, and then last week at the Golden Globes, I was sitting with Viola Davis and Salma Hayek.
Amazing.
That table was amazing. That was like that for me was like, what am I doing right here? Like right now. And then to have Viola and her husband lean over and say like, we've been watching you. We're so excited for what's up, ahead of it. And I was like, what? Like I was like, that's like the win for me. Like I was like, Viola Davis sees something I've done.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Well, of course she has. Of course she has. You're great.
Thank you. Well, it's funny. It's the imposter syndrome. Like you've been doing the show for like now 5 seasons, but for half of those years we were in COVID pandemic, and so we
Right.
didn't do any of these award shows. We didn't go out for these things, and
Right.
then finally now we're now getting back in the groove of things, and it's weird to have like other actors that you admire and have admired like tell you like I watch the show, and like
Yeah.
like Jenny Slate came up to me and just like she's like I want to introduce myself. I'm Jenny Slate. So I was like, oh my god, I'm such a fan of like her work, and she's so funny, and so it's always weird to have like another fellow artist come and tell you that, but it feels good because it kind of feels like you don't do it for validation, but it does give you good validation, I think.
Well, I want to go back a little bit to like we just met Harvey, Busy and I just met you in Toronto when we were there doing Toronto is how you're supposed to say it. You know that because
Toronto.
you shoot in Toronto. We met you we were out there for the Just for Laughs festival, and then we went to see another friend's show, and then they had like a little drinks thing after, and we went to that, and we met you there. And I just want to say, like, never in my life have I felt like more welcomed or like I already knew someone as when you just saw me, said hi, and we just started talking. And I was like, I feel like I've been friends with this guy for 10 years. It was
Aw.
it was like such a nice feeling. And besides like being magnetic and so impressive on screen and everybody just can't get enough of you, you have this other unique in real life quality where you just like saw my face, smiled at me, and made me feel like I was the star of that little drinks thing. And you just talked to me
Where?
all night. That's so nice. That's so nice. But it's a really unique quality. And I'm like, holy smokes, that guy must just collect friends everywhere he goes because you're like irresistible in real life, in my opinion.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. That's very kind, very nice. Yeah, I don't know what it is. Sometimes it gets me in trouble. Like sometimes my sister says I'm too welcoming sometimes because I just like like if I meet someone I've never met a stranger I didn't like, just like you meet someone, but then that can get you in trouble, and like whatever they need or like whatever, I welcome them, or like I'll be the first person to be like, yeah, let's all hang out, and just
Yeah.
like you can't say that, you can't do that, and it's like why? It's like you don't know them, and it's just like they might be a serial killer, and I'm like they have feelings too, I guess.
Well, that's how
Also,
Busy
it's
is
just
as
like,
well.
Yeah, I would say I'm very similar in a lot of ways. And like, I just feel like I would say, here's what I would say, Harvey, I bet there are people where you don't do that too. Because I really do like, I have gut feelings about people, but when you meet,
Yes.
you're not wrong about Caissie. She's the fucking best.
Yeah.
Like, and I feel like I have gut feelings about people, and like, when it's like very strong, I'm like, oh, this person's going to be my friend. Like I'm going to be friends with this person. It's going to be fine.
I agree with that
You know?
100%. It is the gut feeling, and sometimes people think that's stupid. It's like no, your gut never lies to you. Like it really
That's
doesn't.
right.
Your body doesn't lie to you, and I feel like when I've even in like in friendships or even with relationships, like you can sense when something's off. You can sense when this isn't right or it's not a match, or I can sense when to get out of a situation. Like I feel like there's been moments where like I walk into a room or something, and just the feeling and the energy in there, I'm like, something's gonna happen. Like something's weird. Sure enough, we leave and then find out like later on. So like, oh yeah, they held that place up or something. You know what I mean?
So what
And
you're
just,
saying is like you're like the human familiar on what we do in the shadows, but in real life, you're supernatural powers.
Yeah, that's what I guess that's one of the powers I do have, and like because we're so long, especially like in this business, like people like tell you what to do, what to wear, what's best for you. You shouldn't do this, whatnot, and then sometimes I'm like, I want to do that, and I feel like I want to wear this, and I don't see what the problem, and like, and it's when I don't follow my gut. Everyone can relate to that. You never look back and say, I wish I didn't follow my gut. You never say that. You never
That's
say
right.
You always say, I knew it. I need to follow my gut. I should have followed my gut. I should have done it. I should have. But no one ever says, I should have never followed my gut. Like no one ever
That's
looks
right.
back and says
Right.
that. It's
Right. I
always,
agree with you.
You're glad you did it. And I'm always glad that I do it. And yeah, and just like I'm a good judge of character. That's what was told. So you're a good judge of character. And whenever I introduce one friend to another friend, they're always like, "See, now I understand. It makes sense. He hangs out or surrounds himself with people who are very positive or who are good people and
Yes.
and have a good judge of character. So it didn't fail me in Toronto and
Well,
and
I was so happy to have met you because I know what we do in the shadows through my kids who are adults. They're not. I always say my kids, and people think that they're like 8, and then I'm like, no, they're full men. They're grown men. But that's how I came to know the show because they love it so much, and your character on what we do in the shadows. I love your character, like the long suffering, basically like you're an assistant to vampires, kind of like not really, not super willing all the time. And you have ambitions beyond being the familiar to the vampire family. But I love the journey that your character's been on. And the character, Guillermo, Gizmo, they call him sometimes, came out this last season, right?
Mhm.
What was that like? Did you have anything to do with deciding that, or?
I didn't. The writers kind of keep to themselves, and like we only collaborate on like the mom and family scenes where they have Spanish dialogue in the household. And,
Yeah.
The first season, we kind of made almost a mistake of like, because we shoot in Toronto and like we have an amazing prop master and everything. There was a scene where they had to have like Mexican buñuelos, which is a dessert treat.
Yeah.
And our prop master, who's amazing, she like Googled buñuelos, but the first thing that came up was from El Salvador. And those are not Mexican buñuelos. They're different. They look different. They're made different. And so she had them like flown in for the scene or something. And they were in the background. And I remember like thinking, I went to the writers like, those aren't buñuelos. Those are Mexican buñuelos. And they're like, oh, and then we're about to shoot like in a couple of minutes. And so I was like, it's okay. I'll just make them. Can you give me flour tortilla, some sugar and cinnamon and canola oil? And so I made them.
Honestly, respect. I mean,
Wait, can you make those
But I
for
made
us
them
right now?
because I could never live with myself. And then from then on, we collaborate on like, hey, it's okay. Run things through me because I am Mexican. I don't want to like have something that's not culturally appropriate and whatnot. But the coming out scene, for me reading it, and it was beautifully written. We have an amazing team of writers, and it's just like just reading it was kind of cathartic because it was like for being queer myself, like having that moment actually with my mom in real life that had happened. And doing it in that moment. I remember the first take, I just was bawling. I was just like, why is this so? Because it put me back into the place of that situation. And I think that's why that scene kind of resonated with people. And people, I had a man come to me at a Comic-Con who was like 54, and he came out at 54. And I was like,
amazing.
what? And he was like, I came out, and then my first person I came out was to my wife, and I have kids. And I was like, oh my gosh. And they were loving and accepting, but I just couldn't do it because it was a line of like living your life in fear. Is that a life worth living? Like the idea of like the life you're meant to lead is the life you're supposed to live. And sometimes we let society, because remember, coming out is not for yourself. People who are queer know that they're queer. Coming out isn't coming out to someone. It shouldn't be called coming out. It should be called letting you in.
Right. Oh my gosh.
I'm letting you in.
Yes.
Because I knew who I was. I'm just afraid to let you in because I'm afraid what you'll do with that information.
Right. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. What an amazing story. I mean, I'm sure a lot of incredible things happen at Comic-Con. It's just that kind of place. But to have someone come up to you and share that with you, you like did that with your art.
My art. And it was just weird to like think that it's so important to see, obviously, people represented on screen, especially people of color, people of size, queer people, and just it's rarely seen in the same package. You really don't see it all together. And so it was a character that people can relate to, and a lot of people can relate to Guillermo for different reasons. Not that he's just this queer character now on television, because he was that he wasn't that until season 4.
Yeah,
he was really kind of and the trajectory of his story has been really great. He started off as basically a servant to these vampires, and then he found out that he was of Van Helsing, in his blood, and then that he has these special powers, and then he becomes an embezzler because he's overlooked. He runs the nightclub account, and so the trajectory of his story has been amazing. I think people can relate to him because he represents all of us at different stages in our lives. We always work for someone that overlooks us for a promotion. We might be in love with someone from afar. We don't have the guts to say it.
Right.
Everything that a human goes through in emotion, Guillermo has done in the last 4 seasons because people relate to him. They root for him because when you root for him, you're rooting for yourself.
Yeah.
Because you see yourself in him. He's the only human. Of course you're going to see yourself.
Well, I relate to Guillermo because I started out professionally as a celebrity assistant, and it's very remarkably similar to being a vampire's familiar.
It's very similar to being an assistant to a blood-sucking vampire. Yeah.
Guys, I take umbrage with that, but you do you. You do you.
Well, I'm not saying everyone. I'm just saying, like, being a celebrity assistant is no joke, and it's like round the clock for some people. For some people.
I've never met an assistant that would work around the clock for me, even when I've needed it. Okay, so
I've also heard that it's similar to being an agent's assistant.
Yeah,
maybe that's
that's a good one because it's like an agent assistant because they're dealing with this high stress actor, and they're the middleman and they're angry probably at like having to deal with that, and then who gets the bottom of that is the assistant.
Yeah. Well, I always used to tease my first boss because he would be like, like, it seems like you already know what you're doing or whatever. And I was like, well, I mean, I just put myself through college.
Somebody's got it.
I just put myself through college working in a nursing home, and this is the exact same job as like taking care of, people in a nursing home. I got to make sure you're fed. I got to make sure you're at your appointments. Make sure you take your pills if you have pills to take. Make sure you're dressed.
All you know what? Things. I have such respect for people who can manage that. Even thinking of Busy was saying, like with PR people early and like the assistants to the PR agents, like you can tell, like from like I know in my team, I was like, who's the assistant to the PR people are like, oh, you're gonna be running a company in like 5 years. Oh, you're gonna be because you could see it, and I'm sure like it was the same thing. With you, like, when you were an assistant for an agent, it's like they can tell, like, it's like, oh, you're like starting here, but this is not your like end game. Like you are going places because, you can see the ambition, that tenacity in someone. And I think you need that tenacity in this business because this business is like the highs are high and the lows are low, but it's not work. I always say people are like, well, I think I want to be an actor. What do you recommend? I was like, if you don't love it, don't do it. If you don't love this, don't do it. And it's like, do anything else that you love. And it's like, why? Because you think it's too competitive. I was like, no, I'm asking you, do you love doing this?
Right.
Are you happy doing it with a room of 99 people in a black box theater?
Right.
Or you would be happy doing it for millions of people? And there would be no difference in your performance.
Right.
Because if you're doing it only to be a movie star and be a starlet or be a leading man, then you're not doing it for the right reason. And you're going to be miserable and you're going to hate yourself for doing it. So
totally.
Right. You love it.
Right. I mean, because correct me if I'm wrong, you sort of have been acting since you were in school, right? Did you start acting out of school?
I started doing like theater when I was little. The way I came into loving acting was because I saw Annie during a Christmas break when I was like 6. We grew up very poor and single mom. We lived in Santa Ana, and I thought this was a new TV show because we didn't go to the movies. That's a luxury I did not know about at 6. I was like, movies was not a thing we went to, and so I saw this new TV show, and I fell in love with these kids. They were poor, they were singing and dancing and cleaning, and I was like, I sing and dance when I help my mom on the weekends, like clean the tub and the bathroom and all that. And I was just like, and so I told my mom, I was like, Mom, I want to be that when I grow up. I want to be an orphan.
Okay, that's literally the best thing I've ever heard.
She looked at me.
I want to be that when I grow up. I want to be an orphan.
Yeah, and she looked at me. She's like, ¿Qué? ¿Estás loco? And she's like, are you crazy? And I was like, what? She's like, no, son actores. They're actors. And I was like, oh, I want to be an actor. And she said, mijo, no hay dinero. We don't have money for that. I was like, you have to have money to play poor on television? And she's like, you do. You have to get training. You have to dance. And those kids take voice lessons and acting. And I was like, can I do those things? She said, mijo, no tenemos, we don't have money for that. And I felt so defeated. I was like, it's not for me. And she goes, no, I didn't say you couldn't do it. She said, look at me. I didn't say you couldn't do it.
Right.
I said, we don't have money for that. But if you can find your own way, you can do whatever you want in this life. And I remember that she said that, and I was like, okay. And I was like, how am I going to do this? I'm 6. And then my fellow thespian at school said, did you hear they're doing an improv class at the community center? And that's how they find people. Like all the Disney kids, that's how they find them. They find acting classes, and that's how they find them. They find them through acting. And I was convinced that if I took this acting class, that I would be on Disney Channel. And I was just like, I have to take this acting class. And it was like $12.50. Went to my mom. She said she didn't have the money. It's fine. But then my friend went to her mom, she gave her 20 and let her keep the change. And I was like, how is that fair? So that's when I started realizing the financial,
Right.
status and background that I was coming from. And at 6, you're like, wait, why does her mom have that money? My mom, it's like the differentiation like between two families. And I was just like blown away. So then at that point, I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get money, but I can't gas my mom. And my mom was like, I can't. Again, I asked her. So we were walking home from school one day and this guy was going through a trash can. And I was like, Mom, what is he doing? That's so gross. And he's like, oh, vende los botes. He sells the cans. And I was like, you make money from cans? And she goes, yeah. And so I ran into her closet, got a wire hanger and hooked into a long sticky finger, like a long metal finger. And then I went to the kitchen and got a Food for Less plastic bag. And then I went through trash cans and collected aluminum and glass bottles to recycle it to pay for my class.
To get that $12.50 to take that improv class. That's amazing. See, this is why we spotted each other, because I was a can collector for all of my like marching band and whenever I needed to buy sneakers for cheerleading, that's how
There's
got
money in those trash cans.
There's money in those cans. I still collect the cans in my own house. But
yeah, me too. But not to recycle just to be good for the environment.
Yeah.
But it's just like it's still a thing that I did for years, and and there was every piece of can was money, so there was no reason not to have it in your like you could unless you stop going through like quinceañeras. Like I would like crash quinceañeras and weddings, and like I would just go in and like empty the bottles, and people would be like, I'm not done with it. And I was like, oh sorry. Nothing's scarier than a man who you're dumping out there like Budweiser
at a quinceañera when he probably is wishing he could go home at that point. That is truly incredible. So that's like you were a self-starter at age 6.
Yeah. And it was just, it kept going. Like at that point, I was just like working. I've been working so not in the industry, but working towards the industry, I always say. Because people are just like, oh my gosh, you're like, some people know that I've been working at this for a while. And some people are like, I never even knew about your sensation overnight. And it's like, overnight? Like I've been picking up trash in more ways than others. Like,
oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, you're still young. And I was like, gosh, I feel like I've been watching you only for the past couple of years. But then I looked and I was like, no, it's been longer than that. And then I realized that you were on one of my favorite shows, Huge, which was like, you must have been a baby in that.
I was a baby. I had just gotten back so I was in school for a short period. I went to musical theater school, and on my first semester, they tell you, well, the whole time they're there, they say don't audition for things.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I don't like people telling me what to do. So I auditioned and I booked a job in Japan. And so I moved to Osaka, Japan to do this job for 13 months.
Wow.
And I was young and beautiful and young. And I just got there and I was just like, I'm going to, this is living my Broadway dream. I'm on stage, and they got a script. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I think I got the director's script because this was in Japanese. And they're like, yep. And they're like, what? And they're like, the show's in Japanese. And I was like, but it's an American show. It's what? No, it's Wicked. It's an American show. And they're like, yeah, but you're in Japan and everyone here speaks Japanese. So like, yeah. And I was like, oh my God. And they're like, we open in 2 weeks. And I was like,
How do you learn? Jesus. What do you do? What did you do?
The music was fine. Like the music was fine because it connects to a note, so the sound phonetically and everything. But the lines were the ones that I was having a hard time. So like I was like, so what am I saying here? And like they're like, oh, like so I did 3 different shows while I was there. It was like Sesame Street, Blues Brothers, and Wicked. And so I learned to be the understudy to Wicked, which is funny because at that point I was fresh out of school and I was like, what role am I playing? The young, Bach or something? Because he's like, no, Bach's from Japan. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So like I'm one of the other kids in Chiz University. You're the wizard.
Oh my God.
What? And they're like, because we see your body is perfect for the wizard. And I was like, my body is perfect for that's what I want to hear.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
So they put a white wig on you and they put like crow's feet makeup and they put on like a fake mustache and beard and you're Santa Claus. You're basically Santa Claus, but I had the body. the body for the wizard. And so to this day,
is so insane.
when I hear Sentimental Man from Wicked, I can't help but to go into my autopilot of going to it in Japanese. So if I just like hear like that, the first note to Sentimental Man, I'm like, ding, I am a sentimental man. Kokoro yasashi otoko sa. Dakara itsumo jibun no besho shitaito omou. So alpaba o mane o chikara do. Like that's my mind just goes into that automatically.
Wow.
I'm like actually just floored. That's amazing.
And like such 3 different shows that you did in Japan couldn't have been more different from
each other. Like Sesame Street, I was a 12-year-old. Like I was the kid from America, and we're like, we all live on Sesame Street. We're all friends. And I say, Minasan, koko wa kinita, like Sesame Street, you know, like it's just like Sesame Street. And then in my second show, I'm John Belushi in the Blues Brothers.
Oh my gosh.
And then I age into the Wizard. So my trajectory in 13 months was a whole life of a man.
Can I ask you a question? Did you pick up Japanese just from like phonetically learning it in the plays and stuff?
Yeah.
Did it help?
Well, for me, I lived in Kagandori, which was like a little extension island from the city. And everyone there, like they were just, you know, Japanese people who did not speak English. And you'd be surprised how quickly you learn a language when you try to go to the store and try to find out where the milk is, you know, like you'd be surprised how quickly you are more alert to learning something because you are surrounded people who are not going to accommodate to you. Like you are living in their country. Obviously it makes sense, you know? And so I picked up Japanese. Like I literally came back and I could hold a conversation with a Japanese person. And even to this day, like if I hear someone in the elevator, like in a hotel or something speaking Japanese, and I like butt in and say something, they're like, "Sugoi!" Like they know. They literally like ask me, why do you know Japanese? And then I go into this whole conversation about it. And so it really, I learned it. But then since then I've forgotten it. Like a lot of it is like, if you don't use it, you lose it kind of thing.
Right.
Like it's like, I can still remember, like, oh yeah, that's right. But then like using it as a full sentence in a conversation now has been harder because I don't use it on a day-to-day. But when I was there, every day I was learning something new. And it was great. I go back in a heartbeat just to visit and just to like, you know, but it was a great experience. And it threw me into like, that was my first real paying gig. Like that, and I was a freshman in college. Like that really paid for me to come back. And I was like, great, now I can go to Broadway and I can be on Broadway. And I moved to New York and I moved to Brooklyn, and I was doing cattle calls, and there was nothing on Broadway I could play, nothing. But I was so, you know, delusional. I was like, I played a 12-year-old John Belushi and the Wizard in 1 year, so I think I can play a lot of things, you know. And then you come back and no one gives a shit. Like they're like, so like what? And it's like, okay. So I was living there, and my agent in LA said, there's this new show, you should put yourself on tape for it. And I did. And then like, hey, they want to see you for producer session in person. This was back then when, you know, you could still go in person and not like a Zoom. And I was like, okay. So then I left everything in New York to come to the producer meeting or whatever, call back. And I came back and I got it. And it was like starting like the next day. And so I was like, oh, cool. And then I got it. And then that led me to another gig here. There was an educational theater program that I auditioned before I left to Japan that I had declined because I took that job. And they're like, hey, we saw it through your Facebook. You're in LA. And I was like, yeah, I'm visiting for the blah, blah. I had a call back, and they're like, would you mind coming in for a meeting? And I came for a meeting, and they wanted me to start the next day to replace someone. And so I had to like have all my things shipped back from Brooklyn because they were like, it happened so quickly. Like it came back and they all fell. And I didn't want to do TV and film because for the longest time I would do stage only because I was so impressed with like productions on stage. And there's no money like really doing like community theater, like theater in general is really, you know, I always say they're the hardest working people in showbiz, but they get paid the least, you know, because they do 8 shows a week. And those dancers, I mean, those knees are going to give out by the time they're 28, you know, like, it's just like,
it's always like shocking to me. Yeah. It's so intense what
it's intense, right?
Broadway actors go through. Yeah. Yeah.
I've had so many friends who like, they love it so much, but they can't get away from it. I wish I could quit you is what they keep saying because they have broken hips and ankles, and they're out of commission for weeks. And then when they get healed, they go back into a show. And I was like, you like, I had a friend who did Chistery and Wicked, and he did others, and he's an amazing dancer. And he's had like every bone in his body broken, and he heals and goes back for the pain. And I was like, how do you do it? Like, I love it. I love it. There's nothing like that on stage, instant rapport with the audience. And I'll do it until I'm in a wheelchair. And I was like, you will be. You will be in a wheelchair.
Right. Yeah. Oh my gosh. It is a really punishing job for not a lot of money. So Well, I'm glad you made the jump to TV and film for.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I still want to do Broadway, and I will, but probably for a shorter stunt, not for like 20 years or something. But who knows? Who knows?
Well, no. The good news is you get to go to Broadway as a star. So you know what I mean? Like
Right.
that's the secret.
That's
That they don't tell you.
That is
It's
the
like then
secret.
it's like a big deal for
They'll
you to go
stunt cast you in
jump
something.
into
that's
jump
huge.
into a show,
Yeah.
and you'll get to do it for like whatever 5
Yeah.
weeks.
And I know
and
it's so funny because when I was younger, I was just like, I thought that I always hated seeing that because I was like, "Ugh, it's not the same. Acting for stage is not the same as television and film. And so when you see like from blank, 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 like it's like, well, I don't want to see it because of the movies. I want to see them because I want to see them as character. And then I started seeing more and more actors who were, and I was like, they're great. And like, not all of them, but like sometimes you're like, oh yeah, they do TV and film because they can do several takes. You don't get a second take on stage,
Right.
It has to be good the first time. And you see it, and you see it in the quality that you see, like, okay, yes, I see it. And then you're really surprised sometimes, like I just recently saw Daniel Radcliffe do Merrily We Roll Along with my friends, Sherzad Taha, who's in the production with him, and he's great. And I was like, see, people are going to be quick to say Harry Potter on stage. I don't think so. It's like, don't do that. don't do that until you like go and check it out. And you could see that he's committed. And you could see that he put in the work and he put in the hours. And you're like, he's great. Like, it's like, so let's give people the opportunity. And I was one of those people that I was just like, I don't know, TV and film actors. But now someone's going to say that about me,
That's right.
Guillermo on stage, believe it when I see it,
But then they'll believe it. Daniel Radcliffe has done some really serious theater. He's really talented. And he works really hard at it. So obviously he's been at it too since he was like 1 second old. He's been in those Harry Potter movies. But I always like to go see when a movie or TV star is on Broadway because I just like to see what's gonna happen. Like I love to see
I went to see Erica Jane from the Housewives in Chicago.
People were saying she was amazing.
She was great. I thought she was great. But also you're gonna go see someone that you see them as an entity of like their character on their reality show. So you don't really have a lot of high expectations for them on the stage. So at that point, they could go out and like chew gum and then spit in your face. And you'd be like, oh my God, the way they spit in my face, like you're kind of like just giddy to watch them on stage. And but on the other side, you have people who are really talented, my friend Jinx Monsoon, who just opened on Broadway in Chicago as Mama Morton.
Yes,
she's
love Jinx.
Super talented. She does have an amazing voice. She does have theater background training. So I can't wait to see her. I'm actually going to go and catch her hopefully next week.
Oh, great. We have to invite Jinx on the podcast sometime because we have had Ben de la Creme and we love Ben. And their holiday special really got me through the holidays this year. It was like my favorite thing.
Did you get to see the new one that we're touring with this last winter?
No, I got sick. I was going to go see it live in LA, but good. I got sick, so I wasn't able to go. But I heard it's so good. So hopefully they'll they should just keep making movies. I hope they remember when we were like saying to Ben de la Creme, like, we'll work on your movie. We'll be PAs on your movie. Right. We'll operate the boom, whatever we can do.
So smart, so talented. And Ben writes all the scripts. So
yes. They're what a delightful pair. You have a lot of friends from the drag world, don't you?
I guess I do. I mean, I didn't think about it until recently. Until like, I'm gonna go see blah blah. Oh yeah, and like it's just I don't know how it happens. I think it happened with Trixie, because Trixie, when on season 1 of Shadows, I've been a fan of Drag Race and I've always wanted to judge on Drag Race my whole career, and it finally happened this last season, this upcoming season 15. But I remember that Trixie came up to me and I was so starstruck because I was like, oh my God, Trixie. And it's like, girl, my boyfriend and I love your show. That's the only thing we watch. We don't watch TV. We watch a show, and it is the funny. And I was like, I started melting. Like I was just like, what is happening? Like, because this was season 1, and I was like, we might not even get a season 2. I didn't think like people were watching us. I didn't think that even we wouldn't know who we were really, because we were like, if you knew of our show, you were like almost like, oh, you're cool. Like cool, fun comedy and whatever, and that was it.
Yeah.
And that's not a lot of people in my mind. Like I
Right.
feel like a lot of people get cool comedy.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, so Trixie's cool. Trixie's cool. She gets us, and we're like the weird vampire show that she's getting. And I was floored. And then I started happening again with like when it was Jinx Monsoon reached out.
Yeah.
And then Ben, and then like they reached out and like saying that they're fans of the show. And that's how I actually got to meet them. In my wildest dream, I was like always wanting to meet them, like, you know, through their shows and whatnot. It never happened. And it was the other way around, like kind of like what Busy said. People are gonna know you from TV and film. And so they reached out that way. It's like, we're such fans of the show. I was like, are you kidding me? And I did her podcast, and I've done both of their podcasts actually, Trixie and Katya's.
Yes.
And had dinner with them it's just like weird to think like a couple years ago you're like watching Drag Race and idolizing these drag queens, and then now they're like, let's go have lunch. And I was like, okay, go to lunch.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Trixie was with you in Toronto when we met you, and then I was like, oh, I know that person.
And Katya was there too, but she left early.
Oh,
she had to go somewhere else. But Trixie stayed, and we had a drink and was there and having a good time. And it's always nice when you meet like other comedians and other actors, and that table was really cool. Like here we have a table where it's like Trixie, it's you and Busy, like it's just like, and Kristen Shaw was there, and we went to see Kristen. She was performing that night,
which was amazing.
And our friend Otsko, and
oh my god, that's
amazing.
I met her, and she's so funny, and I've always like. She always performs near my place here at Typewriter.
Dynasty Typewriter.
Yeah. And so I always see her on the marquee and stuff because I walk by that all the time. And I was just like, she's so funny. And I finally got to meet her that night. And that table was really cool. It was just like
Puddle's Pity Party was there.
God,
such a fan of his. Oh my gosh.
That was iconic. I think people were walking by the table and being like, what is happening? Like, it's just like
there's a very tall clown talking to
full blown like makeup, everything, obviously.
Yes.
And then
in character.
Lovely man. And it was just it was a great night. It was a great memory. And that's another thing that you walk away from, just like those random nights that turn into like a memory in your head that you'll always remember.
You're like, I'm so glad I did that. And then we went outside. I feel like it was snowing, or I could be romanticizing
it started
that.
Snowing.
It was like a little snowing. Yeah, it was a beautiful night. It was really.
I don't remember that, but
well, we had been drinking.
We left, which is great because we were in the patio outside.
Yeah,
and so there was no covering, so it would have snowed on us. But there was heat lamps and stuff.
Yes.
I do remember that it was really cold.
Yeah, it was cold. It was definitely cold.
Well, it's so funny how much you're willing, with COVID still like happening and everything, how much cold I'm willing to tolerate just to be able to talk to someone. I'm like, I'll talk outdoors, I'll hang out outdoors. And so, it's interesting to me that I'll be willing to stand outside in 5 degrees to talk to someone cool, whereas usually I'd be like, see ya.
Bye. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Element. You know how I feel about electrolytes, Caissie.
I know you love electrolytes.
I love them. I love replenishing them.
Yeah, I hope you've been replenishing them lately because it just sounds like you've been working really hard.
Well, I've been crying a lot, and that's, you lose. Listen, Element is like, it's important to replenish your electrolytes after having a few glasses of wine or an active lifestyle. Also, guys, just crying. You lose a lot of electrolytes by crying. Yeah. I'm just going to say it. It's true.
I believe it. Also, magnesium is such an important part of my life that I literally couldn't get through the day without magnesium. I could talk about it all night, but I won't. But Element is such an easy way to get that magnesium into my body.
Definitely a great way to get magnesium. Everything you need, nothing you don't. It contains science-backed electrolyte ratios. 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, 60 milligrams of magnesium. None of the junk, no sugar, no coloring, no artificial ingredients, no gluten, no fillers, no BS. It's formulated to help anyone with their electrolyte needs and is perfectly suited for folks that follow like keto or low carb or paleo diets. Guys, electrolytes are so important. Element can help prevent and eliminate headaches and muscle cramps and fatigue and sleeplessness and other common symptoms of electrolyte deficiency.
I have all of those.
I mean, same. Caissie and I was going to say, both have all of them. And honestly, Element has been so key in like putting it in my water and making sure that I have the electrolytes. It's fantastic. And Element's used by everyone from like the NBA and the NFL and NHL players to like us. So, you know what I mean? Like there's like that's a wide, you've got like a lot of space in between those people.
A wide range,
in terms of their needs.
Yes.
You know? And right now, Element is offering our listeners a free sample pack with any order. That's 8 single serving packets free with any Element order. It's a great way to try all 8 flavors or to share Element with a salty friend. Get yours at drinkelement.com/best. This deal is only available to our podcast listeners through our link. You must go to drinklmnt.com/best. Also, Element offers a no questions asked refund, risk-free. If you don't like it, you just give it away. Tell them you didn't like it, and they'll give you your money back. But you're going to love it. So you have nothing to lose. Helix sleep. Helix sleep. Helix sleep.
We love you, Helix.
Oh, God. Helix, you've been there since the beginning. And you know what? I love you because you help me sleep.
So happy to go to bed with you every night, Helix.
Honestly, honey, I'm grateful to go to bed with you. In case you don't know, Helix Sleep is a premium mattress brand that provides tailored mattresses based on your unique sleep preferences. There's 14 unique mattresses, including a collection of luxury models. There's a mattress for big and tall sleepers, a mattress made just for kids.
Yay, kids.
Kids need different mattresses. How do you know which one works for you, Caissie? How do you know which Helix mattress is yours?
You know, you go online and you take the Helix sleep quiz and find your perfect mattress. It only takes 2 minutes. And I love a quiz. I love the reveal.
Honey, I've never not loved a quiz. Helix knows there's no better way to test out a new mattress than by sleeping on it in your own home. You can't go to a fucking store and lie down on a mattress and be like, yeah, that's right.
Right.
You have to sleep on that. You got to sleep on her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's why they offer 100 nights risk-free trial. You can try out your new Helix mattress. You can see how you like it, see how your body adjusts. And if you decide that it's not the best fit, you're welcome to return it for a full refund, but you're not going to do that.
You won't.
Because you're going to take the quiz first. And the quiz is going to match you, and you're going to love it. Guys, this is the best mattress. The setup is fast and easy. They're delivered straight to your door in a box. Plus, Helix mattresses are American made and come with a 10 or 15-year warranty, depending on the model. And you get to try it out. Remember, for 100 nights for free. If you don't love it, I know you will, but if you don't, they're going to pick it up and give you a full refund. So listen, you don't want to take our word for it. That's fine. Helix has been awarded the #1 mattress pick by GQ and Wired magazine. It's recommended by multiple leading chiropractors and doctors of sleep medicine as a go-to solution for improving your sleep. Helix is now offering up to $200 off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for our listeners. Go to helixsleep.com/best. With Helix, better sleep starts right now.
So, Harvey, we always ask people who come on the podcast, like, to share a story about a big pivot that they've faced in their lives. I feel like you shared a bunch of pivot stories, but is there one that you haven't told us about? A time where you had to make a choice or a choice was made for you that really affected your life?
Well, yeah, I was thinking of the pivot of, when I was little, and that was kind of a big one for me, that I decided to kind of go after what I wanted. I just wanted it so bad. I wanted and I didn't like people telling me that I couldn't do it. And as I got older, there was more pivots of, agents, even like teachers who would say, "Are you gonna lose the weight?" And it was just like the pivot of like fighting against what your expectations of me are, or what you see me as, when I need to see a clarity in the mirror when I see myself. And as long as I'm happy with what I see in the mirror, then your expectations or desires for me, or wants or whatnot, or demands of me are none of my fucking business.
Right. I have to tell you that one of the things that I love about your trajectory is like, and this is just like a whole side thing, and I tend not to talk about what people look like a lot, because like I kind of feel like I hate when people greet each other and say like, "You look amazing." I just always want people to say, "It is nice to see you. I've missed you." You know what I mean? Because it shouldn't matter what you look like in that moment when you're coming to someone. But one thing I do really love about you is that you're kind of like a red carpet magazine darling. Like you're having, you're having this thing where you're on the cover of magazines and you're being photographed on the red carpet. And I know a couple times you've shared like sketches of outfits that you're planning to wear with me. And I've been so excited to see like ahead of time, like I can't wait to see this in person because the sketch looks so amazing. So I'd love to talk to you a little bit about that, because I think it sort of tracks with a decision I feel like that I've made as a person who is a plus size person. There's this one designer, and she really focuses on designs with volume, and she only makes plus size clothes. And I was like, that's counterintuitive. People are always telling you to like cut your silhouette down and to try to make your silhouette look smaller. And I was like, no, I want to buy clothes from this woman and go the other way. I want to wear big, voluminous pants and dresses and sleeves.
And colors.
And colors, yes.
Yeah.
Because I just wanted to. And I remember I wore these pants that she had designed to work. And they're ginormous pants. Like if you hold them out, they're like 6 feet wide sideways or whatever. And I wore these pants. They were like very statement pants. Nobody was really saying anything, but I could feel like people felt like maybe they wanted to say something. And then this actress from this TV show that I really liked was like a guest on the show that night. And she stopped in the middle of recording like a promo for the show. And she was like, "I'm sorry, I just have to, those pants are amazing. They're the most amazing thing that I've seen in a long time. And the color looks so great." And I was so grateful to her for like confirming, affirming my choice. So anyway, this isn't about me. This is about you and like your fashion choices and how you've kind of leaned into like being kind of like a fashion icon. I feel like you're giving that to people.
Well, I mean, that's very nice. Thank you. People always ask me like, "Who's your stylist?" And like, I don't have a stylist, because I've tried out stylists and they've bailed at the last minute. Like they get worried that they can't style a person of size. And some, like I had one stylist that we knew like a month and a half before, the event. And we've been working up to like, yes, it's work. It's going to happen. We're pulling some looks and whatnot. And then like 24 hours before the event, they pulled out. And they were like, and they made up an excuse, obviously. And they're like, "Oh," and I was like, "Wait, you knew this a month and a half." It's like, I can already sense that the reason that you pulled out was, I'm scared. I'm scared that I'm going to put him in something that I don't know his body, or it's going to look bad and it's going to be reflected on me.
Right.
And so if I don't need someone's help, I don't ask for it. And that's my rule of thumb. Like if I don't need someone's help, I'm not gonna. But when I need help, I do ask for it.
Right.
I'm not a specialist in everything. So if you have a cold, I need to go to a doctor. I need to get medicine. I'm not a specialist. But if I don't need your help in something, I don't bother you with wasting your time. If not, and I didn't even want to stylist at that point. I was like, I think I could do it. But the thing with stylists is they do have connections to ateliers and they have designers that they reach out, and I don't. So it's so funny because this last look on the carpet that I just did, people are like, "What is that? Is it Dolce & Gabbana?" And I've worn Dolce & Gabbana before when they dressed me, and they made couture suit for me, because I'm a big guy and they don't usually carry my size.
Right.
So you can't, and I didn't want to have that be reflected to, the people who watch me and see me for like, fashion advice and whatnot. And I didn't want to give them false hope that it's like, yeah, you can walk into Dolce & Gabbana and get a suit my size. You can't, but they do great work. And if you can connect with them, then that's great too, but I didn't want to do that to kind of portray myself in a place where people were like looking at me as aspirational, like, see, he did it. I'm going to go to that shop and get that too. You can try. And just like, but a lot of big designers don't make, suits for big guys. They just don't.
Right.
And so I did the combination of like, I have no problem with like putting my outfits together. And even my publicist was like, you always dress so well. And like, you always dress so nice. It's like, you don't even need a stylist. And I was like, yeah, but it'd be nice to know there's stylists available for big guys,
Right.
And a lot of big actors out there maybe have the same fashion sense that I do, maybe they're not in the same, like I like to play with color and whatnot. And for the majority of the time, they make people of size kind of hide and fade into the background. And it's like, just wear this potato sack,
Harvey,
and just,
I have to like just say to you, me, like, I fluctuate in weight like a new woman does. But, when I was on Dawson's Creek, I was probably like, I don't know, like a size 8, maybe a size 8. And the wardrobe designer famously said to me, I think that the trick with you is just to accentuate your boobs and then put you in like black from the waist down. And this is like, I was like a 21-year-old girl.
and what is that? That kind of conversation, what does that do to
my fucking head, right?
A young female kid, but anyone in general? What does it do to your psyche where you start, you're being told,
it's insane.
The message that your body, that you're in is like, how do we work with
is wrong.
It's
I mean,
wrong.
here's what I'm going to say though, Harvey, honestly, as I was listening to you talk, like I do think that my stylist, Carla Welch, would like kill it for you because she's like iconic, but like she was the first stylist that never made me feel stylist or wardrobe person, by the way, that when I met her like almost 15 years ago now, whoa, so long ago, never made me feel like my body was a barrier that we had to get around.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I love that. I mean, maybe maybe I haven't met the right stylist. And by the way, I haven't really met with that many. No one's jumping at the opportunity, which is so weird because like I've done a pretty good job of my own carpet looks that people are like, when I do magazine covers and whatnot, but I do work with like in Toronto, I have my friend Mark, who is an amazing stylist out there. And we became friends, didn't even know that that's the field that he worked in. And he's like, oh, let me know if you do anything. And he's done a great job. He knows how to work with my body when I'm in Toronto and we do a shoot there. Like he knows how to pull things that I like. And that has to be like a connection with the stylist, because it can't just be like, I'm going to pull stuff, and see whatever spaghetti I throw at the wall, see whatever sticks. But I also look at the stuff they have and I go off of what like my gut feeling, like my gut feeling of like, I don't think we'd be a good I think I love what they do with someone who is a 20-year-old, tall, 6'2", girl, and they love what they do with their silhouette and they look great. But then looking at your roster, you don't have anyone who looks like me, so I'm a little bit already like anyone who's maybe of average size even,
Right.
So
And I also think like a lot of guys that are being styled, like they look handsome, but a lot of people aren't trying to like break out of the mold of like a very conservative. That's why people get so excited when a guy really like goes out of their comfort zone.
I think that men have been turning it out.
They
Who's
have.
that guy that wore that like all blue suit to the Golden Globes. That like weird. Is he from? What show is he from? He's
Severance.
from something. Severance. Like, was he? Yeah, he's on Severance. Is that right?
Yeah. He's the lead guy in Severance.
No. I'm not talking about Adam. I'm talking about. There was a guy from like a TV show. It's not Severance, but he's on a TV show and he was wearing like a pale blue look from like top to bottom. He's a little bit of like a kind of an interesting looking man, young-ish.
Well, Seth wore like a powder pink suit to the Globes, and that looked really cool.
Yes, Seth Rogen wore that. That was amazing.
That was amazing. So guys are stepping it up, which
they're doing it. They're trying.
Yeah.
And Adam, and I will say Adam Scott's outfits have been fire. Like he wore that. He and I were both boiling because we were both wearing gray cashmere at the Critics' Choice, and like which was fantastic when we were outside. But inside that ballroom, we both were like dying and roasting. And then Paul Dana's suit at the Critics' Choice was so cool too.
Yeah.
I do think that there's like interesting fashion stuff happening for men, but I think that the important thing and like what you hit upon and what I feel very deeply is that you want a person who like helps you with the access and helps you with the looks and pulls all the stuff for you.
Right.
Who also isn't treating you like you're an inconvenience because you have a body or because you're not a 6 foot tall person that fits into a sample. You know, like that gray dress did not zip up my upper rib cage. Caissie knows my rib cage is my rib cage. Post Harvey, do you want to know something?
You have big
probably
ribs.
don't
I have
know?
big ribs too. I had a dance instructor one time come up to me and they're like, "Oh," and it's like, "Oh, you have a big rib cage," and I was like, "Oh, thank you." It's just like,
That's lovely of you to say.
Do you want to hear something funny? I have ginormous tits and like a tummy and a
tiny
but tiny rib cage.
Tiny rib cage.
Which I know from cheerleading because
we're all made different.
People
We're
would
all made different.
People would say,
And
"I'm
you just-
afraid to stand on your back because your ribs are too narrow."
You just don't want to ever be made to feel like some things that are out of your control are like literally a barrier for them being able to do their job, because
I
that's
didn't make
just
my
bullshit.
fucking bones, people.
No.
Yeah. And that's the thing, speaking of the pivot, is the idea that like I stopped trying to hide the things like you have, your rib cage is big, you have a belly, you have a big behind. Let's try to cover that up. And I was like, all of those strikes that you're saying are all my accents, and my assets are my ass. So I'm going to show off my assets.
Also, it's like you cannot hide those things. Like you can
You look more
flatter
ridiculous
them.
trying to cover them and be like, what are you doing? Just show them you have them.
It's no secret. It's never a secret to anyone. And like the point of even dressing for these things, I think, is to like make people think that you look good enough to like maybe see you in other things at some
and in different ways,
or in nothing, maybe. Who knows? Yeah. And so like it doesn't do any good, I don't think, to try to like trick anyone. Not that that's possible, but I never have. So that's why I love your outfits so much, because I think like sometimes you play with not just color but volume. You wear sparkly things. You get glam done. Oh, that's another thing. A woman that once did my glam for a photo shoot with Busy does your glam sometimes, Danny. And
Danny,
yeah. And so I really appreciate what you're doing. What's your favorite thing that you've worn ever, or like recently or whatever? Describe it so we can go look up the photo.
Ooh, there's a couple things. I like when I play with color. I like Comic-Con I wore this really cool like powder blue high-waisted like sailor pant with like a powder blue cheetah and pink top that was tucked in. That was really fun. But also at Comic-Con, the last time before that, I wore this 1920s like finger wave hairdo,
yes,
with smoky eye and a V plunging jacket, and with just like a skin tight open shirt, and then slacks. And it was just like so like, I don't know, it was like it was giving me like Marlena Dietrich meets like Dick Tracy meets like, it was just all these things into one that I just like really liked. It was masculine, but it was feminine. It was colorful, but it was subtle. It was chic. So I think one of my best and favorite looks is that one. And I think Lin-Manuel actually came up to me and was like, "You look fucking fantastic." It was like, it was really nice. And I was like, but again, it was just like, oh, so he did start with it's good to see you and you look fine. So he did it the right way.
I love Lin. Yeah. I think he's such a great guy, and he's one of my all-time favorites. I just love him. This is true story. Talk about like people being welcoming and connecting. Like Lin-Manuel followed me on Twitter. I'm sure I've told this on the podcast before. Lin-Manuel followed me on Twitter, and we didn't interact much. Because like everybody wanted to talk to him. And I just knew I loved him from the In the Heights commercials from when I lived in New York City, because I couldn't afford to go see the show, but I loved the commercials so much and was like rooting for him just based on the commercials for In the Heights. And, one time he just DM'd me and he was like, "Listen, I am such a fan of your Twitter. I just really want to let you know I enjoy it. I have a friend from like middle school and I feel like you guys would be good friends. Would it be cool if I introduced you to her?" And I was like, that is so... It's so nice. What? And he introduced us and we became friendly, and it was just so great. She's a writer too, and I really like her. And I just think that like there's nothing kinder than someone who's like, "I think you're good enough to be friends with someone that I care about." Like,
right.
That's
a high compliment.
Yeah. And so I really love how he operates, and I think he's such a sweet guy. And he was right. You did look, I remember the finger waves. I remember seeing photographs of it, and it was such a fantastic look.
Yeah, I love that. And the makeup, like I remember my friend Romy did like a smoky eye, and it was I really liked it. It was all together. And then recently I really liked my Golden Globes look. It was like the not too over the top gold in the jacket, but it was monochromatic with the bow tie and the undershirt. So it was all black, and then the slacks, and then like the Dolce and Gabbana shoe. Like it was just like very clean, very crisp, and the wave of the hair, very old 1940s Hollywood. But that's what I like to do. I like to take old looks that you would never see a person of my size or even my background kind of recreate. Like you never
Yeah.
saw a plus size Latino in old Hollywood be like have like a finger wave. You didn't
Right.
see that. So I'm rewriting and changing the narrative of how we see Hollywood actors, especially the new ones in front of us.
I love that. Well, I have a fashion
I love
question.
it, too.
I have a fashion question for both of you before we let Harvey has to go record some VO for something because you're in like every great animated project right now. Besides having season 5 of What We Do in the Shadows coming up, you're also in Blue Beetle coming up, right?
Comes out this summer. Super excited. And Puss in Boots is in theaters now. You should
Yeah,
watch
Puss in Boots is in theaters
The
now.
Last Wish.
Here's my question for you guys. Okay, so Busy and I are doing some live shows coming up, and do you think, like, for a live podcast, like on stage in a theater, do you think a regular person like me, is it okay to wear sequins in a non-holiday, non-award show situation?
Of course.
Do you feel
Absolutely.
like?
Absolutely.
Sequins are everywhere now, Caissie.
You think sequins
are
all the time?
Sequins are for all of us. Yeah,
Okay.
sequins are for all of us.
It's
And
everywhere.
It is everywhere, and I do think that the trick with sequins is you got to like play with the rest of
With the
look.
levels, yeah.
Like I like personally am very into a thing I've seen of late, which is like a sequin skirt with like a vintage tee and like a little blazer. You know, like it's like you're up, you're down. What are we doing? Where are we? That's what I think that. But I also think like sequins are for her.
And
You know?
him. And him.
And
him.
For
yeah.
them.
Sequins are for her
Sequins are
and
for
him.
them. For them.
Sequins,
are
you know
for
what?
them.
That's right. Let's degender this whole fucking bitch. Sequins are for them.
For them.
Well, I'll take a picture in the outfit I was thinking of and send it to you. Like you have sent me sketches of outfits because that has delighted me. And Harvey, I just like you so much. I think you're such a wonderful person, and I'm so happy for all the success that you are having, both on screen and also it seems like in life, because it just seems like everybody loves you, and it's easy to see why.
Oh, well, that's very nice. And same to both of you. You're both
Aw.
lovely. And I'm just sad I didn't get to go to the bathroom with you, Busy.
I know. Next time, just follow me out.
I'm just going to do it.
Just
I didn't
get
want to
up and
bother.
come.
I was going to
No, I
knock
get
on
it.
the
I
door
get it.
and be
I
like,
get it.
hey, girl, it's me.
I had some good moments in the bathroom. Anyway, Harvey, it was so great to see you, and I hope we get to hang out. We'll have our moments sometime.
Yeah,
We'll get to like hang somewhere sometime.
Yeah. I'm
And
interested
I'm
to
gonna,
hear all. Yeah. Let me know who you recommend for stylists.
I am. I'm going to send you like a bunch of things.
Yeah.
A bunch of ideas. I have like
All right.
multiple ideas.
Thank
Love
you
it.
for making time to talk to us today, because I know you are extremely busy, and
Yes.
this has just made me smile, and I was so excited knowing that we were going to get to hang out with you today.
Thank
Same,
you for
same.
having me. This is so
Yeah.
fun. Anytime. Let me know.
Okay. Bye, Harvey.
Bye,
Bye.
Harvey.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm okay. I talked to my therapist. I've been having a rough time. Okay, I'm going to tell you just like an abbreviated version of what happened so that you can what?
Oh, is this podcast or personal?
I was going to tell you podcast vibes.
Oh, okay. So we should tell everybody that we took a break, and
we had to take a day. I had
Yeah.
to take a day. I couldn't.
Okay.
I like actually was having a hard time talking without crying.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so Caissie's very kind. And as I just pointed out in my podcast post, yes, she's the one that just lost her mother. And is somehow managing to show up. But like, listen, different people deal with things differently.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
grief comes in many forms, in many ways, at many times. And just really briefly, I wanted to like explain for the podcast, like a version of like without talking without being too personal, because
Right.
there are, believe it or not, guys, I love you so much, but there are things that like we don't talk about here.
Yeah.
I know people just have the idea that I'm an open book and I share everything, and the truth
Right.
is, like, obviously when I mean, there are still people on my Instagram, like from the other day, that are like, wait, ex-husband, what? You know what I mean? And I'm like, guys, get with it. It's been like 2.5 years.
Keep up. But I get it. You know, that's how these relationships are. These, like, you know, even with people that you're friends with in real life that you
Yes.
mostly keep up with through social media. And we know, like, the algorithm fucks with us. You know, we talk about it.
I'm gonna start boosting some posts. Case.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start paying for some of my like personal posts. Just
Yeah.
I'm gonna advertise that shit. I'm gonna put it out there. I'm gonna be like, divorce announcement. When it's all said and done, I'm gonna pay to boost the post
Sacrifice some dollars to the gods of Instagram.
of the algorithm,
So
the
that
gods of the
they'll-
fucking algorithm.
They'll
My
smile
God.
on our posts about live show tickets and just see if it works out. But anyway, sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to clarify for myself and for people.
Yeah, sure. Wait, which one? What are you? What?
Well, I was saying I didn't know if you were wanting to talk like off, you know, sometimes.
Oh, I see.
Here's a Hollywood podcast break. It's not a Hollywood break at all. Sometimes Vizzy and I, when we're recording the podcast, we talk about a bunch of personal shit that we don't put in the podcast, and we have to cut it all out. So the only people that ever know about that stuff is me, her, and Josh, our editor, who is such a dear that he always...
Shout out, Josh.
He always skips over all of that stuff that he's like, that's none of my business or whatever. But I mean,
Oh, bless his heart.
also-
I wouldn't be so strong. Can I tell you, did I tell you what my friend in Sweden who had moved to Sweden said when I asked her what the hardest thing had been for her?
Yeah.
Like herself,
Yeah.
in the moving. And she said, honestly, eavesdropping. Oh. Because she speaks enough Swedish. Her husband's Swedish. She speaks enough Swedish to sort of like get by in like ways that you need to.
Yeah.
But she's like, I can't sit on public transit and listen to people's conversations. I can't sit in a restaurant and overhear somebody's thoughts about things. And she's like, and it's really interesting. Like you wouldn't think that is a thing that you would like deeply miss, but it's a connection to humanity. It's a connection to like other people around you.
Right.
That she's like, I really, really fucking miss. I
Right.
really miss it. And I thought that was so interesting. And also, like, I realized how frequently we all connect. I mean, that's what podcasts do, right?
Right.
Like people say, oh, I feel like I'm like hanging out with my friends and and listening to them chat.
Right.
Which you are. You fucking are.
Right.
But it's like if you sat on the same train every day in the same place and you like saw the same people, you track people's stories. It's just true.
Yes.
You just do.
Yes.
But then when you're taken out of that, like, I don't know. I just thought it was really interesting that she was able to like have the emotional intelligence to pinpoint that was something she really missed.
I now that you're mentioning it, I mean, I don't think of myself as like a big eavesdropper. Like I'm not trying to get the gossip, but
That's what yeah.
But I am such a listener. Like one time I was on the train and a lady was on the phone making a million phone calls and she was trying to find maternity ski pants. And it was like the best thing that I ever overheard in my life because I wanted to be like, what, should you be skiing? But I just didn't. I just listened to her looking for maternity ski pants for like an hour. And it was one of the great joys of my life. So yeah, I would miss that if it had happened in Swedish.
So also Mercury is out of retrograde as of
So
today.
they say as of
that's
today.
what they say. That's what they
Fucking
say.
thank God. I
And-
mean, as of today when we're recording this, I don't know if it'll get out today, but
honey, we don't know what's
it'll
gonna
be,
happen.
as of Wednesday, Mercury is...
And I want to I really do want to say I'm sorry. I'm sorry that like I've been really going through it and I was having a hard time. I was just, those of you who struggle with anxiety, depression, and also just like fucking being a person in this moment in time, like know that when you get in, or anyone who's done therapy, like when you get in your like limbic system, which is like when you get out of your like body and rational person and into like your lizard brain, that's what your limbic system is your fight or flight. It's your like whatever. For some people, and I'm one of them, it's really hard to fucking recover from that.
Right.
Like, and so this thing happened after the Critics' Choice Awards that like fully put me into my like limbic brain and then triggered all these other things. And like, it's been very hard for me to recenter myself. And yesterday I was like having a really tough time. And after we did the first part of the podcast, I talked to my therapist. I actually had dinner with Mark and like just adults and like talked about stuff. And he was very kind and super helpful. And guys, we're not getting back together. Just like no one's saying that except for one of my friends said that. And I was just like, I'm like in my head that people are going to think that because I speak so highly of him. But it's like, This has been, we are good, but we're not, it's not like that. Like
you're not a part. You know what I mean? Like
we're family.
Yeah,
he's my family.
Yeah, everybody.
He is my family.
We all have to like stop thinking about it in that binary way that we think.
That's exactly fucking. Oh my god! Thank you, Caissie. Stop. Can we just get rid of the binary? Anyway. And then today I woke up and I was back in it and like couldn't. And Mark was like, "Go to your ceramics class." Like he's like, "Get the fuck go." Also, by the way, I do want to say something. Literally everyone around me and Michelle has tested positive for COVID, but we have not from the Critics' Choice Awards.
I saw that a lot of people were testing positive from the Golden Globes and
but like
Critics' Choice Awards.
And the Critics' Choice. But like, honestly, Michelle and I were around so many people who have tested but she and I are not.
Well, knock on wood.
Knock wood for sure, especially for her because she's got that newborn. Yeah. Jesus. But I also think like they got it that night.
Maybe.
Right?
I don't know. I've given up trying to like figure. I mean, I figure you get into a room where like, I mean, and I don't want to, I'm not passing judgment. I'm just saying the facts are, I think I saw one person wearing a mask. Just because
at the Critics' Choice Awards,
at the Golden, at the Golden Globes.
Like Michelle and I had like an actual joint panic attack when we first got like ushered into the thing. No one was wearing a mask. Like I sort of assumed. Well, I don't know. When we went to the Gotham Awards. There were lots of people that were wearing masks here in New York. Yeah. There were lots of people, like almost all the people that worked there.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
All the photographers. Like at the Gotham Award, like most of the publicists, I would say like at the Gotham Awards, I saw lots and lots of masks.
Yeah.
At the Critics' Choice Awards, not a mask to be found.
Not a mask.
And Michelle and I were like literally like we both panicked. And when we first got, we went through like the red carpet and then whatever. And then they like usher you downstairs into this like hall.
Yes. Yeah.
Before you go into the ballroom. Mm-hmm. And the hall was like packed like sardines.
Right.
And like underground, like there was no air. And Michelle and I flipped out. And like after we talked to Jenny Slate for 2 seconds, and then I was like, we got to get the fuck out of here.
Oh my God.
And we went over to this like far corner where there was no one and there was like air flowing.
Right.
And we stood there. So if I managed to keep me and Michelle safe from COVID by finding fresh air and an empty corner, then I feel like I did the Lord's work.
Yeah. I mean, I have been thinking of I was just reading this like study about how certain UV lights in an environment, like a restaurant or a theater, can kill COVID as it like floats up into the air. They're really expensive lamps, but I was like, I should like take a second mortgage out on my house, invest all the money into those lamps, and then start a rental business for events in LA, and then go bankrupt when nobody wants to spend money to kill COVID.
Well, because apparently people just don't even fucking care.
Right.
But anyway, so I'm going to tell you so I've been having like some other shit that's been going on in my life, right?
Yeah.
And I've been feeling a little bit, and I've been very fragile, but like feeling like I can like make my way through it, and like things like I can make my way through it. And then what happened after the show, which I do want to say, I don't even remember. Caissie, I don't remember talking to you yesterday.
Oh,
wow.
Man. Yeah.
So I don't remember if I told you anything about the Critics' Choice Awards.
You didn't tell me personally anything yet. But we said we were going to talk, but you just weren't in that place. And yeah.
So, well, did I tell you that I was able to meet Claire Foy, and
you
showed
did
her
mention
Birdie's
that.
picture? Okay.
You mentioned
That was exciting.
only good things. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
good. Okay, right. So, okay. Well, also they feed you no food. They just give you tequila and champagne, right? Like it's like the stupidest thing of all time.
I remember eating so much food there the last time I was there.
Can I
Someone
tell
has
you
to
something?
go get the food is the thing.
It makes no sense.
Yeah.
Like they had these little like tapenade plates in front of us, and it was like an olive tapenade and a hummus, like a scoop of hummus, like the size of a silver dollar.
Yeah.
And whatever. Like, so all we had eaten. Also, like with all the Ozempic jokes flying around, I do just want to say, like, my best friend Michelle Williams doesn't even know what Ozempic is, and like literally just had a newborn and looks the way that she does, and it's just like genetics for her. Do you know what I mean?
She's
like,
just a little
she's
elf.
teeny tiny, and she just looks that way. But like like I'm not an Ozempic hater. Like, in fact, you and I have talked about it.
Yeah, sure.
I'm actually pro Zemps.
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't give a fuck. I just think it's like, I don't care.
Right.
And I think it's fine. And I actually don't even think it's something to make fun of, because I think it's like a kind of, I don't know, it was on a podcast that Mark was listening to of like the greatest things to have happened in 2022.
Yeah.
And it was the discovery of like that peptide making such a difference in people's blood sugar and metabolism. Like it could like change people's lives, and it's a big fucking deal.
Yeah, because here's the thing. It's so controversial right now, right? But here's what I want to say about Ozempic is it's like originally, first of all, it's just a peptide. It's like it's not like a synthesized drug or whatever, and it's a relatively inexpensive peptide that has been bought by the pharmaceutical industry, and the cost is like tenfold from what it is if which we've talked about on the podcast before. And then I think it's like obviously it's something that a lot of diabetic people are being prescribed, and it's life-saving for them, and that's amazing. They need it for their diabetes. And
Manjaro.
And
right?
Manjaro is also right. But then they discovered that it does help some people, not everyone.
Not everybody.
Some people, it helps them lose a modest amount of weight, like 10 to 15% of their body weight, which is not going to make most people, especially people who are quote unquote overweight, people of size, it's not going to make them thin. It's going to make their weight more manageable. And so now and
what happens, and I just want to interject.
Yeah.
And what happens when people have weight that's more manageable is that they tend to then be able to do things like really start to exercise.
Right.
Really. And then they see a difference, and they start to like maybe make healthier choices with food, right? It's true.
Well, I mean,
Like,
a lot of
that's
people,
the-
I would contend that a lot of people of size make healthy choices with food. And it's
I know.
just
Well, like
their,
I'm, it's my family.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
But it's just their biology. And so that's where it does seem like magic, because suddenly this medication comes along
exactly
and you can do the exact same fucking thing and somehow lose weight, which should tell people, oh, it's the fucking biology. It's not all behavior. A lot of it is actually, I just wrote a comment on like a Facebook post because I looked up the details. I was reading a study that 95% of your weight is predetermined by your biology and 5% is your behavior.
Yeah, no shit.
And
by the way, no shit.
And that 80% of weight ever lost by people is regained. And
but this is the whole Biggest Loser thing.
Right,
that was the whole
exactly.
Biggest
Why it
Loser
doesn't-
conversation, why it doesn't work.
somebody
Because it's like,
pitched Jillian Michaels to come on the podcast, by the way, and I just didn't. Anyway, forget that I mentioned that.
that's not in the podcast. No, but like that's the whole thing that came out about Biggest Loser, like why
Right.
ultimately it was a failure.
It's dangerous and a failure. Yeah.
Because
and
it's biology.
Right,
It's
right.
not like a thing you can control. So for
Right.
me, as a person who literally grew up in a family where I watched the biology.
Yeah.
My biology versus my sister's biology versus my mother's and my father's. Like
Yeah.
my dad and I, people would say, even like when I was on that magazine, that like Chicago magazine, and I went to Chicago, my aunt Barbara Jean came to the thing and everyone thought she was my mom.
Right.
Because we like have the exact same body.
Yeah.
And yet I see my other family members like have this wholly different experience, and
Right.
I'm understanding like what their calories input and output, whatever. Like
Right.
we're all eating relatively the same thing. It
Right.
doesn't make sense.
Right.
It's fucking biology.
Right.
So for me, the Ozempic thing is like, I get so annoyed when people like call out Ozempic, because it's like the implication is like if you worked harder, if you like, it's like you're lazy
Right.
and you don't want to do the thing, and so you're using Ozempic. By the way, I don't even like it when like people are calling out celebrities on it. I don't fucking like it. It's like your bodies, you don't get a fucking gold medal because you like were born with a biology that was able to
Right.
like burn more calories.
Right. My point is like, I understand there's an issue right now. There's a shortage, and obviously people are like using it up.
Right. But
and
now
so
I know
people
that,
are like,
but now we know that it's all fucking made up.
right.
The
It's
shortage is all
probably
made up.
and
It is made
and
up.
could be
It's like-
remedied.
Yes.
But my issue is that like, you can't have it both ways. And this is like, I feel like this happens to women all the time too, where people want to say that like, you need to speak up, but you need to speak up in a voice that doesn't hurt my ears. The same thing I think happens to heavier people, where people are like, you're fat and you're going to fucking die from your fatness. And then when you try to do something about it and use this medication, that's like the first thing that would help. People are like, oh, you fat fuck, you're taking this medication away from people that really need it. And it's like,
Right.
you just told me that I really
Pick a fucking lane.
Yeah, pick a lane. Like either you care that people live and they have the medication that they
Yes.
need, or you
And by the way, I just want to say this, or the people who act as though like fat people and people of size are an inconvenience.
right.
And like
Right.
fuck and like ugh, but then are make like it's just
Right.
I can't even imagine.
Right, because like everybody, makes a huge deal about, if you have to sit next to a plus size person on an airplane or whatever. And then I'm like, but like, how many times are you going to get up and go to the bathroom? You know what I mean? Imagine if I acted like you were a monster every time you wanted to do that. It just doesn't make any sense. People have like
No.
really, really like dead spots in their vision for a lot of things.
And by the way, I have to listen to more podcasts and learn more things. But there was someone was just telling me about a podcast about how like dietitians like truly fucked all of us. American dietitians truly
Right.
fucked all of us by like this idea of calories in, calories out.
Right.
And like they tried to solve it like a math equation, but they didn't take into consideration that there are different kinds of calories and that like carbohydrates and sugar calories like actually weigh more than fat and protein calories.
Right. It's so complicated
So like we've been fucked for literally decades here in America because they had this campaign. Also, let's not even get into the fact that there's like lobbies for things like sugar, the sugar industry, and the fucking like who even knows the bread industry.
Right.
I don't know.
Who knows?
I'm just saying, guys, we don't know.
We don't know.
I'm not an expert. I can't even begin to be an expert.
Yeah, it's just,
I do know this. It's all fucked.
It's all fucked, and it's very complicated. And like, yeah, I would just encourage people that have like heated feelings about these things to try to understand where someone who has a different point of view than you might try to understand where they're coming from and like believe their experience. The only person right now whose point of view I don't think we should give a shit about is Ben Dreyfuss. He's been having a day.
I don't know who that is.
He's Richard Dreyfuss's son, and
Who cares?
He's on a tirade about fat people on Twitter, and he he just really thinks he's doing something. And
you know that one of the biggest jobs I ever lost that I was like the most devastated about ever was playing Richard Dreyfuss's daughter on a show.
I wish you had gotten to be his daughter because he could have used a spare good kid in his life, because I think that Ben is a rotten egg, maybe.
Jesus Christ. Well, we do our best. Here's what I know.
He does have
our best.
We do our best. He does have a real daughter, and she could be perfectly lovely. I don't know Ben Dreyfuss.
I didn't get the part. You know what I mean, Caissie?
Yeah, I know. It doesn't.
I could have done some work from the inside out, but
maybe.
I didn't get the part.
Maybe. I don't know Richard Dreyfuss. Like, he could be lovely too, and just be stuck.
I just auditioned with him a couple times for that.
Be stuck with like a clunker for a son. I don't know. You know.
Sometimes that happens. Okay, I do want to say I ran into a friend of mine in Los Angeles at the hair salon who has a 14-year-old son.
Yeah.
And we had a really fucking interesting, cool conversation about raising boys right now, girls.
Yeah.
And how how my point of view is that it's always been such an eye roll to me, like my entire life, when people have seen my two little girls and they've been like, good luck to you in 5 years or whatever. Because I'm like, raising badass, feminist, fucking stand up for themselves, rad women is not difficult for me. Like, I know exactly how the fuck to do that. And that's with information and constant conversation. And engagement. Okay. Yeah. If I were to have two boys, and this is like, saw my friend who's a like total fucking feminist, badass motherfucker, and she's got two boys who are basically the same ages as Birdie and Crix. Like, her kids are 14 and 11.
Yeah.
Two boys. And she's like, girlfriend, I am adrift. Like, she's like, it is so hard. Like, the 14-year-old fighting with her about Andrew Tate, like, but mom, like, not everything is bad, some of the stuff isn't true that they're saying. She's like, it is impossible, because what they're trying to figure out is like masculinity, what their own like relationship is, like what it means. And there's also that piece of like just wanting to fight with your parents. Like, kids do have that.
Yeah.
Maybe yours didn't.
No, they fought with us. They did.
But like, the fuck? Guys out there raising young boys right now and men, I applaud you, salute you, whatever. Bless your hearts. I hope you're keeping conversation going. I don't know.
I have to say, you really, if you're on your own, that's one of the times when I'm like, it almost would be easier sometimes when I see like moms that I know. It would almost be easier if they were on their own, because a lot of moms I see are trying to fight the good fight, and they don't have dads that are backing them up and don't take it seriously.
Yeah. I would say that is probably 100% the case of my friend who's divorced and her ex-husband is,
Yeah. you know,
a person.
And
that's-
it happens even with friends of mine that are still married. Like the dad doesn't take it seriously. It's a big joke and, you know, and just can't be bothered. And like, that's one thing I will say is that like whatever troubles Matt and I have had between us in the years, we've always had each other's back. Like that was a rule that like, if I say something goes, if like there's a consequence that I handed out or whatever, it cannot, like he can't go back on it like behind my back or let them off the hook. Same for him. Like if he said like this is a new rule in the house or whatever, like I couldn't be like, oh, you know, dad was just mad, but you can really have ice cream or whatever. Like that wasn't, you know, we had to have each other's back. Anyway, how did we get here from Ozempic?
We got here because I was going to tell you what happened to me after the thing.
Only tequila at the Critics' Choice Awards.
No food. We went upstairs after and like Michelle was talking to some people and we got and Jen and I were talking and we got swept into like a party of people that were going to eat in the restaurant at the hotel.
Okay.
And I was like, that wasn't my journey necessarily, but I was like, it's fine. I'm like, fine. It's fine. Okay. Just out of personal curiosity, have you talked to Emily? Do you know any of this?
I have talked to Emily, but not about this.
Well, okay. I just meant about this. I just didn't know if she told you what had happened.
No, she didn't tell me anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so the podcast version of this story that I'm just going to give you really briefly is that a person who is an actor, but like an actor person, a person who I like know-ish, was there, and in a very like callous and fast way told me that someone that I had loved a long time ago had died.
Okay.
In like a really fucking weird way, like in like a way that only a sort of psychotic person would do. Like, oh, by the way, we have someone in common. This person, you know, they died. Like that.
Oh, gosh.
And I, on the heels of everything that I've been going through.
Yeah.
And then the tequila.
Yeah.
And no food. And being in LA was so hard for me this time.
Yeah.
I couldn't process it. Like I actually couldn't process and it's so fucking weird. Just like, because it wasn't like, it wasn't even done with any sort of, like grace around it. It was literally like, what I just did to you is how it was done to me. Like, oh, by the way, we have someone in common. This person, you know, they died last year. Like that.
Right.
And I like left the dining room where we had walked to, and I was like, I like couldn't see. Like, I don't know if you've ever had that experience. I previously had not had it in a very long time, but I like actually couldn't see.
Right.
And then I was like in the kitchen of this restaurant, like sobbing hysterically. And thankfully Jen found me and took me outside to like a private area. And I called Mark and told him, and he was like, come back to New York, just come back and see Cricket and see Gina. And I'm so sorry. And that is really fucking horrible to find out that way. And just come home tomorrow. And then Jen like went back. I was like, I can't see that person again. Like the person that said that to me, because I don't know them and I don't want to like talk to them about anything else, like about more like details, or I just wanted to get the fuck out. It was so it's so insane and was so inappropriate and whether or not this person knew my relationship with the person that died, like I don't know. How could I know? I didn't know that. I don't know. It was all so fucking wild. And I was just like, I needed to get out. So Jen went back inside, got my shit, got Michelle. Michelle came outside. I had called Emily because Emily also had known the person that died. And like, I was talking to Emily on the phone, and then Jen took the phone and was like talking to Emily and was like, I promise I'll like take care of her and like make sure she's okay.
Yeah.
And I was like, we just have to fucking leave this place. And so we left and saw Renee. It is one of those things a little bit where like the universe sort of just was like, here are all your people and they're just going to support you in this moment.
Right,
you know?
right,
Like
yeah.
Renee had like gone to her room and changed, or I don't even know where the fuck she went. And she just was like happened upon us in the lobby and was like, what's happening? And we told her and she's like, we're leaving. And we like walked out the door and got in a car and went to another restaurant place, hotel. We went to the Chateau where we saw our friend.
Harvey was
Harvey.
there.
Well, I didn't see him, but we were there.
He was there, yeah. Same.
But the rest of the night was a little bit of like, for me, like kind of just, I felt like I was in like some kind of like alternate universe, like bubble. It was really strange.
Yeah.
But I was really grateful to my girlfriends for like scooping me up and like I don't know. It felt like they just carried me out of and away. And the thing is like I don't know. Like I talked to my therapist about it yesterday, like the processing the news about this person who passed away, like would it be the same if I wasn't currently going through such like an upheaval in my emotional stability in life? I don't know. Like it really impacted me deeply, in part because I have a lot of feelings around that relationship, and like it's really meaningful to me. It's like not anything that's like I don't even know how to talk about it really, like without it, you know. And and anyway, so it was just really, it's been really weird and really hard. And then and I feel like it, like, you know, have you ever felt like a thing like opens a vein of trauma that you weren't ready to be opened?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you know that I'm only closed veins of trauma that only ever.
No, I do know that.
Only ever open accidentally when I wasn't intending for them to. Yeah, I mean, that's terrible. First of all, I'm really sorry that you lost someone, and I'm sorry that you didn't know, you know, because I'm sure that played into it as well, you know. And I think we have all, maybe not all, but a lot of us have had that situation where you just know, you know so many people, and many of them mean a great deal to you, but the way that life is, sometimes you're just not in touch with that person, you know, but it doesn't mean that you're... It doesn't mean that it means any less, or that you'd be, you know...
Or that the... Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck, man.
And like even giving that person that like said that information to you the benefit of the doubt. That,
I know. I've gone through this, and I was like, bless.
Yeah.
Please.
But
also to be fair,
yeah,
she was like a fucking asshole to me before, and I didn't, and she's been an asshole to me before that.
Right.
And it was really weird and felt like I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just have to say,
it's not okay.
It actually, I am, you know me.
Yeah.
I'm the biggest benefit of the doubt giver.
Yeah, of course.
I really am. I really love to give a benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. No,
I was the best in people.
I just wanted to say, even like if it was completely innocent, like even if it was completely innocent, like I still think, like, I don't know that your reaction would have been any different to like just hearing news like that. Like it's just, you know, that's just not,
I mean,
it's just not news that you'd want to hear.
No, that's correct. It did feel really aggressive in the like timing of it, like as if it, like, I don't know, there were like other way, I guess I don't know. My therapist, Lita, shout out to Lita. Like, we talked about it yesterday too. Like, I was like, it just felt like even if she had said something like, oh, did you, I mean, I'm sure you heard, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, even if I had been led a little bit into along the path of where we're about to go, but to like be like, ha ha ha, drunk, she's kind of a dick to me. I'm like, oh my God, you're good.
Right.
And I literally was like, in my head, I'm like, oh my God, she's always kind of a dick to me. That's hilarious. And then to be like, oh, we have someone in common, this person, you know, they died last year. Like, what the fuck?
Right. Yeah.
It was like aggressive.
Yeah. There's got to be a happy medium with I mean, now I'm thinking about the doctor, God bless him, the doctor that called me from the ER with my mom.
Ugh.
He was so,
and that's his job.
It was his job, and he was so nice, but his method, now that I'm thinking about it, led me to believe that my mom was still alive for like a minute.
I don't like it.
And I was like,
Why? He was like,
I was like,
God,
maybe just a couple hopeful sentences before you deliver. So like, but it's, I mean, it's not easy news to deliver. That's what I'm saying. And so I'm saying, do it with care.
But also, I do want to just say this: at an post award show with someone you don't know is it information that is yours to give.
You know what this is making me think of? The first thing that I ever knew to be a viral video, which was, this is before viral video even existed, and you cannot find it on the internet. But Jennifer Tilly was on a red carpet.
I remember it. And I actually remember this very well.
And a reporter asked her what it was like to work with Bruno Kirby, who she had worked with years ago, the actor Bruno Kirby.
I remember
and
this.
She lovingly like launched into like, oh, he's the greatest, blah, blah. And then the reporter was like, he died today. And she had a breakdown like right there on the carpet, because that is like, what did you expect for her? Of course she hadn't heard. Like, you know, they had worked together and obviously admired each other, it seemed like. And, but that's how this business works. You know, you grow apart. And it just was like, that was the first time I just kept seeing that video over and over online. And I just felt so badly for Jennifer Tilly, because I was like, what did that person fucking think they were trying to do? What did they,
like a real gotcha moment?
Yeah, this is gonna be great television, you know, to devastate Jennifer Tilly on a red carpet. And like, to whoever's credit out there, it's really, you can't really find that clip online. I've looked for it actually, because I was trying to help my husband prepare a class on like media studies or something that he was teaching at one point, and I was looking for that.
I feel like we've also talked about it.
Yeah, I think we have too. I have looked for that clip, and I just like, you know, to whoever's credit, it's basically wiped from the internet, but it's basically like the same thing. Like it's a little bit about like, oh, I have this magnifying glass and it's sunny out and there's like a bug on the sidewalk. Like, let's see what happens when I hold it. You know what I mean? Like I feel like you'd have to kind of know that you were deploying a bomb.
I mean, also, to be fair, I feel like, yeah, I don't know what this person's motivation was for telling me that.
Right,
I mean,
right.
I, in my most generous of spirits, want to believe that that person meant a lot to them as well.
Yeah.
And they like wanted to talk to me about that person.
Yeah.
And I am never going to give them that.
Right.
I'm sorry. Sorry, guys. It's never fucking happening. She can
Right.
rot in hell. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. It was very hurtful.
Yeah.
And also it's for me, it was not an ideal moment to like receive that information the way it just was all bad.
Which
bad.
That person couldn't have known, but also like you all weren't friends before then, and
Right,
so
this is
you're
right.
not going to
This
go
is right.
forward being friends, and it's fine. And so all you have to do is like just get through like your feelings about this moment, and it's fine.
Right.
Like not everybody has to be
right. But like it also like did trigger because of other things that I'm going through. There was like it like everything sort of compounded and like piled on. Do you know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
And that's why I've felt so like destabilized the
Yeah.
last few days. So I
Yeah.
just wanted to give you like a little bit of
Yeah, sure.
context without telling you like exactly whatever. That was fucking weird and upsetting.
Yeah.
I do want to say after that we did go to the chateau and ended up hanging out with Kate Hudson, who I have known literally I feel like my entire life.
Yeah.
And and Oliver, her brother,
Right.
and I have been really close friends in moments and like have been friends for like 25 years or
Yeah.
whatever. And he's always been like, you and Kate would be best friends. You guys would love each other. And I'm always like, okay, Oliver, like I love you.
Yeah.
But like she and I have never had our thing. Like we've never had the
Right.
moment where we're like, we could be best friends. Like
Right.
we've like had moments together where I'm like, okay, cute. But like never, but
Right.
whatever.
You just never
But
had that.
Oh my God. But that fucking night, she was like a goddamn angel. And we had the best time. And she was so fun and so sweet. And like, we just literally had the best time and ended it with like, I was like, are you moving to New York so we can be best friends? Like, I was like, I love you.
Yeah,
And Michelle's like, move to New York. Like, she was so great to us.
Yeah.
But also like she and I did see finally after fucking whatever 25 years
Yeah.
why Oliver was always like you and Kate should be best friends.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know. And now I'm like, oh, I totally get it. Yes, 100%. We can be
Yeah,
best
I mean, I don't know her very well personally, but she has a great sense of humor. I do know firsthand because whenever she's been on shows that I've worked on, she always never balks. Always never. She never ever.
She always never.
She never balks at any of the humor that is sort of like pointed at her. And she's always been really, really super nice to me, and lovely. And I've met her in professional situations and also just at a couple parties. And she just is very nice to make party chit chat with someone who's a mega superstar, and they're not looking like they're looking through you to see like who's better coming through the door, you know. And so I always feel like she's been very cool that way.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, I really appreciated like the end of our evening was really fun and ended up being like good. Even I mean, I literally like cried at the table. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like I was still like very I was emotional yesterday. Like I obviously was like I'm as emotional the day that I flew back. Like I've been trying to like move through these things, you know.
Yeah.
But like she was just really sweet. So that's that. Wanted to get through it all. Wanted to give you guys a little bit more than what I was giving you before. Not because like, I don't know. I just, fuck, man.
You just weren't ready to say it. You needed to formulate your thoughts. And that's okay. That's okay to like, I wish more people would do that. I wish more people would just bite their tongue until they know that they know the right way to say something, you know? Not always, like, and, you know, not like you're going to be punished if you say something the wrong way, but there's nothing wrong with taking a minute to be thoughtful about something that you want to say thoughtfully. Nothing wrong with it.
100%. 100%. And so I went to pottery today.
That's good.
Killing it.
A lot of people in my life are doing pottery right now.
Who else?
Julie La Couture.
Oh, Julie.
She's actually been like doing pottery that's so good. She's like selling it. It's like great. She's very talented. But yeah, just a lot of friends I noticed have been taking pottery classes and going to the pottery studio. It's very cool.
I did it in college.
Yeah.
And then I have been revisiting in this latest the wheel.
Yeah.
But I like hand build. I've always like continued to hand build.
Yeah.
Sculpt and whatever. But like, yeah. So I really like it.
That's
and I got
good.
my tattoo yesterday.
Oh yeah. What'd you get?
It's an acorn.
Aww.
It's a little acorn.
Cute.
It is cute.
Nice. Did it hurt there?
It really fucking hurt. Caissie.
Yeah, on
I'm
those
not
like
gonna lie.
anything that's like tendony and bony is
Yeah.
not my fave.
It was tough, but I made it through. And then tonight, I'm going to go see my fave, Andy Schaaf.
Okay.
You know who that is?
I don't know who that is.
I was in that music video. Remember when I was in that music video a long time ago for the Fox Warren band?
Oh, yeah.
Andy Schaaf is like, that's his band, but like
Okay.
he's like a singer-songwriter from Canada.
Oh, great.
And he has a new album that comes out tonight. And I'm going to go see his band play. And then Phoebe Bridgers, Lucy Dacus with Boy Genius.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Julian Baker, the most depressing music, is the third. They released 3 songs today, which are so good.
Yeah, I heard people were excited about it.
I was very excited.
Yeah.
So there's good music that's happening. I don't fucking know, Caissie. I'm trying my best. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What are you doing their best at this week?
Well, I mean, just again, like having a parent die and having to handle their estate is like, it's really like my new part-time job, at least, just tracking down all this shit and like, just tracking down everything. But I will say that Matt and I, not as like a New Year's resolution, but just kind of decided to embark on a skincare routine.
Lovely.
Like trying to do a skincare routine just to, because like I just have super sensitive skin and I don't know. It's just nice to spend 5 minutes on yourself. Kind of nice. But he's been doing better at it than I have. I've been skipping, like sometimes I skip or like immensely abbreviate the nighttime routine. And we were actually at Emily Beebe's and somebody was talking about a parent having diabetes and they were saying that they don't take care of themselves the way that they should. And I went on this whole tirade about like, well, I mean, I just give it up to them because I have to imagine that like having to test your blood sugar all the time and do all the things that you have to do when you have diabetes is like a fucking job and a half. And
hard.
like, I was like, I already have like at least 33% quit my skincare routine. That's not even hard. It's not even like, it doesn't even draw blood from me. And I'm already like, I don't want to do it. I'm scared. I just want to do this.
I mean,
and I
I've
don't
done
want
a 47-step skincare routine since I was 12 years old. Just FYI.
mean, not me, not this girl. And it's not even like a hard skincare routine. And sometimes I'm just like, I just don't want to. And I think it's like, for me, if I may, for myself, I think it's probably like a sensory processing issue. Like I love to go swimming, but I hate to be semi-wet. That's weird, I know. But like I can't stand anything. I hate washing my face at a sink and having like water drip down my arms.
Wow.
Hate it.
Yeah.
Hate it. And sometimes I really like would prefer to take a bath than a shower because I hate having like needles of water touching me. Like,
Yeah, no, I get that.
You
I
know.
mean, that's why I'm such a bath bitch.
yeah,
I get it.
So, so anyway, yeah, I'm like, sometimes I just don't want to have like wet bangs and a wet face and wet wrists. And like, I just, is there a different way to do it? So like, maybe if people have like sensory issues out there and you're good at your skincare routine, maybe you'll have tips for me or something. But like, yeah, as it is, I'm like, not doing my best at it, but at least I'm doing it sometimes. Matt is doing it all the time. And then also it led me on a tirade, not a tirade, but a miniature, well-intentioned, loving rant about how like if your parents have diabetes or whatever the fuck else, like it might be hard. It might be hard to take care of themselves the way that they're supposed to. And like it seems like a lot of work. So, we just have to keep encouraging everyone to do their diabetes care, their skin care, their mental health care, all that shit,
For sure.
It's all connected. I mean, I just was having a moment where I was like, fuck, if I can't wash my face, I don't know how someone's like pricking their finger every hour or whatever the hell they have to do,
Yeah. No, I get it.
But anyway,
I really do.
But anyway, it's fine. I think it might be like giving me some breakouts, so I might have to adjust my products.
Okay.
And it might be giving me some milia. I'm really susceptible to milia.
Ugh, the worst of the
Which,
worst.
like,
I hate
if
it.
you don't know at home, is like, it's like a whitehead, but it's like deep under your skin, and so you can't pop it, and it really has to be
Well, it's like it's a calcified
Yeah,
whitehead, so it's
yeah.
like it has to be extracted.
Yeah. Which is just like, you know, who wants those? Not me,
no
but
one,
all of a
no
sudden,
one.
like, I have like 7 of them, so I might have to adjust my stupid fucking routine
Jesus.
that I don't
I'm so
even
sorry.
really
I'm
want to
so
do.
sorry.
But anyway, but I'm doing my best to, like, you
Okay.
know.
Get on that
Yeah.
train.
Yeah. How about you? I mean,
I mean, Caissie. Let's be honest.
well, you came back today.
I did. I had I like had one moment where I was like, I contemplated not.
Yeah.
I was like, what would happen if I just didn't?
Yeah.
But here I am. And it's hard
Yeah. Yeah.
to be a person.
But you did it, and you will.
We're going to continue to be a person.
Yeah.
And I want to say this, like, it's interesting because, you know, I had like one of my really close friends committed suicide a few years ago.
Yeah.
And I've had friends who've had like suicidal ideations. And I just want to say this, like, it's not me. Like, I've never had that. It's never been me. Like,
Yeah.
as hard as this fucking shit gets, like, that's why I also like the body thing where I know it's like biology.
Yeah.
It's like, I know that thing is not, it's chemical. It's not.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah. And
Anyway, I'm doing my best at trying to not be like embarrassed by my own emotions.
that's good.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, well, I know that it's hard because I think we all get embarrassed by our feelings sometimes, you know? And I think like when we get embarrassed is when we feel like we can't keep our feelings in check. But as you're saying, like in this instance, it really just opened up like a treasure trove of feelings that probably were connected in a lot of ways, and maybe even some things that just weren't connected and just came on out for the ride, gushed out.
They just decided to show the fuck up.
Yeah. And you know, and there's nothing that you can really do except for like live through that. And it's
I
really
know, and I'm really trying to live through it.
It's
like
really
fucking
hard.
Courtney Love in 1994. I am living. I'm gonna live through it. I'm
Yeah.
gonna live through this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna live through this.
Yeah.
I know I'm gonna live through this.
I know you are
too.
too.
I'm like, I gotta live through it. I gotta fucking live through it. That's what
Yeah.
I'm doing my best at. You guys, I love you so much. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being patient with the show being late. Thank you for buying tickets for our shows in San Francisco and New Jersey
And
and
Boston.
Boston.
Yes.
Thank you for being very kind to both of us. And we love you and thank you so much.
We love you guys. Bye.
Bye.
I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing my best.
Oh no.